Well, hello everybody. Glad to have you here. It's been a week. It's a nice sunshiny day out. I have like a half a cup of lukewarm coffee. Ooh, I'll have to fix that. But I got a beautiful day. How about you, Thunder? What was your day like? Was it sunny, shiny, happy, and
Oh
glorious?
yeah, beautiful August day, just hot. So
Yeah.
here's what the weather decided to do in the middle of America. For about the last 2 weeks or so, it's been like fall weather,
Uh huh.
like 70, but sunny out, no breeze, just perfect, literally perfect weather, right? In the middle of August. That's very strange. That doesn't usually happen. Usually August is, a mess when it comes to
Oh
heat.
well. Well, gift
Um,
horses and all.
yeah. So it's very odd that happened, but don't worry. Old Mama Nature decided to right the ship, and now it's up in the 90s. It has been for the last few days, so it's nice out. Like it's real sunny. It's not, not gloomy or anything, but it is hot, real hot.
Mm. Well, I don't know. I guess this summer here has been hotter than it's been in a while. I still don't think it's the hottest summer I've experienced here. I think that was about 17 years ago,
Mm,
18 years ago. But it has been hotter this year than usual. Now, it's always hot and steamy. It's Japan. They have, one of the reasons why Asia is a little more steamy, especially this kind of the ocean rim and down to Southeast Asia, more so than say over on the Atlantic, is because, well, the Pacific Ocean is much
right.
warmer, but also because of the Himalayan mountains and just the presence of that area we call China. So we get our rainy season is months later than it is in the West, and therefore by the time the heat hits, we still have a lot of moisture in the ground. Whereas in the West, most of it has evaporated by then, and therefore the summer's not as intense. So it just is what it is.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been very strange because, like I said, normally August is quite warm, but most of this month has been really calm, really chill. Like I said, the literal to me perfect weather is I can still wear shorts comfortably and if I want to, and I can also wear pants if I want to comfortably. It's that right in that middle area where it's not too chilly, it's
Mm.
not too warm, it's wear whatever you want and you won't sweat like a hog. And that's pretty much what it was. It was right in that lane.
Mm.
Nice little pocket. But for whatever reason, it's decided that's enough of that, and we're gonna go back to summer now. We got a little break, a little visit from
Right.
from Aunt Autumn. She showed up early a little bit, and now
Well,
summer is back.
we're getting toward the end of August, to be fair. But me, if I had the means, the funds, I would summer in Norway or Switzerland, and I'd winter here in Japan because the winter here is quite pleasant. Um, if I had the financial ability to do so. But yeah, c'est la vie.
Would be nice, huh?
It would be
Would be
nice.
nice.
It's just never see summer again. I'd be
See,
good with it.
I'd be okay with that too. Like just only experience spring and fall here because those are the two best seasons by far, Midwest. Uh, Not just because of the temperature, but also because it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
Life,
That's true.
plants are coming back, they're changing colors, doing all sorts. Whereas summer, yeah, you have that, but I basically live in a swamp that we've all just decided to pretend isn't a swamp. But it is. so so you look outside and it just how when it's hot and you look out and it looks hot,
Hmm.
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it's miserable because
Oh yeah.
it looks fine, like it's not gloomy, but your brain's like, oh no, you don't want to be out there.
Yeah. No.
You don't want nothing to do with out there.
The heat just vibrating off the ground. No. 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 No.
Yeah.
Dave is somehow. I don't understand why, but he has made homemade stromboli, which I'm down for, and he's offering to send me some of it. Well, dude, I like me some stromboli. I haven't had it in a long time though. I should make it. Now that you remind me.
Good old Stromboli.
It is good, man. I do like it. But
It,
I did make something here over the weekend that I haven't made in a long time. Carrot cake.
I do like carrot cake. For a
Mm-hmm.
long time, carrot cake was basically the only cake I even really liked. Because I
Yeah.
have this weird uh, relationship with sweets.
Mm.
If I'm not in the mood for sweets, they're disgusting. I don't want nothing to do with
Yeah.
them.
I'm
I
not
don't
a big sweet
want them
person
around me.
either.
But then occasionally, it's like, let's go, let's party, and I'll smash some cookies or some cake or something. But I have to be in
Yeah.
the mood for it for whatever reason.
Yeah. No. No.
And
I'm not too
one of
dissimilar from
my
you.
one of my cakes of choice was always carrot cake. I love a good carrot.
Yep.
Mm,
It is weird because my wife makes it in the way my grandmother made, in the loaf style, because she
yep.
will make banana bread and zucchini bread. Um, those are quite often because she's always eating bananas and her eyes are bigger than her belly, so she has to turn them into bread, which is fine. And of course, zucchini when it's in season. But she hadn't made a carrot cake in a long time. I don't know why that's called a cake when everything else is a bread, but I guess it's because it's French. Uh, but um,
Yeah.
but they're the
Blame the
same.
French.
They're the same thing. It's like zucchini. It's not something you would imagine would be, you know, a cake, a sweet cake, but it works really well. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I
Sorry,
enjoyed
I'm
it.
laughing at my dog. My wife came in here, just for a second, and my dog, my big giant 140-pound dog, followed her in, and then proceeded to not let her leave. So every time she'd take a step, he'd take a step the same direction. That sort of move, because he's bored. He
You
was
got to
like
wrestle
20.
him. Let's see. Dave says, I watched a video that said the Stromboli was invented in Philadelphia and was originally made with Italian bread dough, not pizza dough. Nah, well, the way I've had it is that way. I don't know about the history of Stromboli. I do apologize. I do know a lot of food history, though, because I watch a show called um,
Food history?
no, I forget what he calls it. It's that gay kid. Um,
Well, you're going to have to be a lot more specific in 2024.
well, that's true, but no, but he's a good kid. I like that guy. I do like him. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a great history show about food. I know a lot of more of the base ingredient movement throughout history, like the tomato or potato or
The
things like that.
tomato.
You know, I know that
Um,
stuff. But I do know that the stromboli I ate in New England growing up had nothing to do with pizza dough. So,
See,
but Pennsylvania is kind of part of New England, isn't it?
parts of it is. I would say the western side, over where Pittsburgh's at, is definitely Midwestern, but
Yeah,
up
but you
there
know
in
what I
the
mean.
north by New York is very New
Officially,
Englandish.
officially.
Yeah.
But
No,
we
I'm keeping Pittsburgh, damn it. You don't get it. It's
Well, yeah,
ours.
well, we really don't count below Connecticut, to be fair. Sorry, Pennsylvania. But technically, they kind of are. But then again, Nova Scotia, Lapland, Newfoundland, those are all technically part of New England as well, as far as the people are
Yep,
concerned. Because all of us, we have our struggle, you see. And
that's right.
because we have a crazy killer ocean to the east and north of us. To the west of us, we have the damn Quebecois, and then south we have New York. So we're boxed in. Yeah. But
Yep.
anyway, so the only way I ever had it is the Italian bread way. I didn't even know there was a pizza dough way. Interesting.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elton Brown. Yeah, I used to watch him way back in the day. Uh, um, he was a lot of fun. It was like food science guy, like the Mr. Wizard, but with food. You remember Elton Brown? Although I think it's spelled with an A, not an E, dude. I think it's Alton. You never watched Alton Brown?
I have not.
Oh, well, I forget what that show was called. What was it? Good Eats. That's what it was called. Good Eats. Check it out on YouTube. I think you'd appreciate it. I mean, it's cooking, but it's coming from a scientific point of view, right? And Alton was
Yeah.
great, very personable and charming. Let's see,
The
my yeah, go ahead.
the best bread I've ever had was when I was in Israel,
Oh,
and they had at these different places, the hotel or whatever, they had these spreads of different types of bread, and they had these different styles of bread. I don't even know what they were. I've never seen them anywhere else, and they had these oils on them. Oils were unbelievable. Probably different types of olive oil, I'd imagine, but they were so good.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because a lot of the food over there is, gross. But this bread was amazing.
Hmm. Yeah, no, no. Yeah, that's where I spend my money on food. I mean, fresh ingredients is pretty easy to get most places, right? Unless you're in a city, it can be tough. But if you're outside of a city, you can get fresh ingredients usually. But where I spend my money is on things like oil, fish sauces, or various sauces like oyster sauce or soy sauce or something like that. I spend money and get really good quality. And it's amazing to me how the just going after quality in your kind of base stuff like that improves your food. You know,
Yeah.
sounds like a little thing, but no, go get yourself really good. Spend the money and get the good olive oil. Get the good sesame seed oil. Get the good soy sauce. Get the whatever it is you're using to cook your food. Go buy that stuff at the highest quality you can. And if you get fresh ingredients, if your store provides fresh vegetables and things like that, you're pretty good, man. Just spend a little bit more money on that, and don't be crazy. You don't have to eat a literal mountain of food every meal. You know,
Right.
bring it back and eat more sensibly and use better ingredients, and you'll have a much funner time. Um,
The great thing, one of the many great things about living in Ohio or the Midwest in general, but definitely Ohio, is pretty much all of the grocery stores around here that I know of. I know Kroger for certain. I'm pretty sure the others do too. Get all of their stuff from here, by and large, their produce, because Ohio grows everything,
sure.
literally everything. Uh, so they have fairly fresh produce. The thing which is weird because Ohio is like the apple. It's one of the apple states. Might be the apple state. We have tons of apple orchards here. Uh, but the apples aren't fresh. Everything else is, but the apples for some reason are not as fresh as everything else. It's very strange to me.
Yeah.
But the it's nice living here because that's an option because we're surrounded. Yeah, you have your cities that dot all over the place, but you have farmer cities that are basically just places for where the farmers can go and sell their shit.
Right.
Um, and that's super helpful, especially if you want to get fresh produce. So the produce here, most of it is locally grown or locally sourced, especially the dairy. There's a lot of dairy around here that's locally grown and sourced. So that's one of the huge advantages to living outside of the Beltway or any of the major uh, population centers in this country is the food is a lot higher quality. If you buy that food, you can still get the processed stuff if you like, but you can get you know potatoes and onions, tomatoes, and whatever else you want to eat fairly readily because it's from here. They don't have to ship it in from wherever the hell else they ship it in other places.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and honestly, a lot of places you can get pretty good produce. You'll enjoy it if you really go for um, more improved quality in your food products, the ingredients, and just kind of reduce the amount of food you're eating if you're on a budget, right? Which most of us are. But as far
Right.
as Stromboli goes, it is kind of interesting that there is a famous volcano, of course, in Italy called Stromboli. But we're not talking about the volcano. Although, if you bite into a Stromboli too quickly, you will get the volcanic experience. Um, but I mean, it is interesting that he mentions the pizza dough because I'm sitting here and trying to think how because that's something my grandmother would make, not my mom. Um, because up when I was a kid, we just called it pizza bread. But I do it always when you said pizza dough and not Italian bread dough, I always remember it being more Italian bread esque. And we
Right.
didn't pour tomato sauce over the top of it either, which is traditional. We just kind of cut it in slices and ate it like, the ham and cheese bread. This was like pizza bread because of the ingredients inside, right? But yeah, I'm not sure now. I'm backtracking a bit, Dave. I always because in my head it was very Italian breadish. But I guess it could have been a pizza dough type style. My grandma made it all from scratch, so I don't really know. But I do know I love me some stromboli. I like the ham and cheese bread as well. Are there any other kind of stuffed breads? Because that's what stromboli is. I seen one that had like a chicken and broccoli thingy in it. I wasn't a big fan of that. However, ham and spinach works, but that's much more
Yep.
Greek and it's much thinner bread. But yeah, no, I like me some stuffed breads, man. Those are pretty good. I do enjoy it. It says his father was a Polish baker. Who ran a bakery in the Port Richmond section of Philly, and my grandfather was Italian. That's a combination. I would love to have seen a Fourth of July or Thanksgiving dinner in your house.
uh,
It's interesting.
so, Chester, I have a question for you. We're talking about food. That's
Yeah,
very topical. Um, I know you saw it. We talked about it a little bit before we got on here.
yeah.
Mr. Kennedy,
Oh yeah,
Bobby Kennedy's son, Bobby Kennedy himself, also as well because he is a junior. Uh, it has endorsed President Donald Trump,
I did. Yeah,
and the main reason that he stated was because mostly the food industry, but also the pharmaceuticals as well, are so corrupt and incestuous that we're poisoning our children,
yeah. Well,
which is
he's not
true.
wrong.
Uh, and he wants to be able to effectively change that. And the only
Hmm.
way he could do that is if he works with Trump, because the Democrats won't even talk to him, which is
No.
hilarious.
Well, because
Uh,
they're communists.
that's right. And he's not.
No,
He's pretty adamantly not.
he's a classical
And
liberal. But then again, so is Trump.
yeah, Trump's just a Democrat from 30 years ago. I don't know why people pretend he isn't.
I know it's weird.
Um, but regardless, it's very interesting that we're actually talking about this because that's the main reason that free speech and he wants the border fixed. He's against war. Which,
Hmm.
by the way, these are all pillars of Trump's positions. Like
Yeah.
his platform is based on all of that. So that's the main reason he was willing to do it. He even said I recently saw him give. I think he was talking to Dr. Phil, and he said I don't obviously he and I disagree on like the environment and stuff, but there it's just not the most pressing matter right now.
No.
And he's correct. I'd say Elon's probably would have the same sentiment. It's not the most pressing,
No,
and
because it's not.
I think it's very important whether it's a Trump Kennedy administration or whatever you want to call it or not. These agencies and the corporations they're supposed to have oversight over have to be brought to task. They are literally poisoning America.
Yeah.
Like that's real.
There's a
That's not
lot
even
of government
hyperbolic.
that needs to be dragged down, dude. A lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I made this point to somebody the other day. I've seen multiple accounts of people who Americans who go over to say Europe for a month or 2 weeks or whatever, and they lose a bunch of weight, and they don't know why because they're traveling. It's not like they're not eating. They're completely perplexed on how this happened to them, how this weight just fell off them. I've seen some people in a month lose like 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple, guys. Their food isn't as poisonous as our food. In fact, I'd say their food's probably not
Yeah.
poisonous at all.
Dude, I'm
Um,
90 pounds down moving from America to Japan. 90 pounds.
yeah. And you probably don't eat anything crazy different, right? You're not out here just eating kale.
No.
Um, it's because they load our food with oils, not healthy ones, bad ones. They load our
It's
food with
corn
all
syrup.
sorts of sugar and syrups. And it makes it not satiating because you're eating a bunch of vacuous calories that don't have any actual nutritional value to them, that are just there to fill out a flavor profile or whatever. And that leads to pretty much every problem we have right now as far as health
Yeah.
wise in America. I would say even the ridiculous amount of people who are suddenly psychotic or some form of mentally deranged in America, that's probably almost, I'm not going to say probably, it is linked to the fact that our food is poisoning us. Because of
It
course it
is.
is.
Well, and it comes from a not so insidious place, right?
Mm,
The federal government in America is lazy and stupid, and they subsidize corn. Not everything else, not just farming in general. They subsidize corn. Therefore, a lot of farmers grow corn. Of course, Monsanto and the companies that actually control food in America grow corn because it's subsidized. Now they have all this extra corn. What do you do with it? Well, they sell it dirt cheap, and all these companies buy it for their sweetener, and
yep,
everything is full of corn sweetener. Well, here's the thing: corn is not a natural product for a lot of humans. The
correct.
people who were in the Americas and grew it, it works just fine for them. But other people, it's not what your body is used to genetically. And
Right.
therefore, it's a huge problem. No, it's very true, dude. You look at the rest of the world, there are certain places that are very fat, and all those places are connected to American food stuff. All the ones who are
Yes.
not connected to American food stuff are like here, normal.
Yep. And the only way that gets fixed, the only way, is a government who is doing its job.
Yeah,
You can't advocate for these agencies to exist if
no,
they are making us materially, physically worse in every
no,
possible respect.
it needs to be dealt with.
Um,
Yeah,
the fact that the average lifespan in America is down, it's going down
it
now
is down.
for the first
Yeah,
time ever in the history of the country that since we've been tracking it, is, I mean, you can't ask for a greater sign that there's a problem than that.
yeah,
So the only way to fix that, again, is someone has to get in a position of authority and clean up the mess.
yeah,
And if it has to be a Kennedy, then it has to be a Kennedy. If it has to be a mean old orange man, then it needs to be the mean old orange man, but it needs to be done.
yeah.
And we know the Democrats aren't going to do it. They have no interest. They're the ones who created this very system.
Of
They have
course.
no
Yeah,
interest.
there and they've shown over decades that this is what they do. And you would think these cities where the Democrats have ruled for decades and decades and decades that are actually just literal shitholes, you would think they would like, hey, maybe we should try the other side, just to see, you know. But no. Yeah, the whole Bobby Kennedy thing going in with Trump isn't surprising to me. To be fair, Trump probably would have took him as vice president if the Republicans wouldn't go rabid, because they would. That's why
Mm,
he took JD Vance, was to appease them in a way.
right.
Halfway. He still stuck it to them because they would have chosen someone else, but
Oh,
GD
yeah.
Vance isn't their first choice. So he still, got his ribbing in because it's Trump. But otherwise, if things were all equal and sensible, having Robert Kennedy come on as his VP would have been a brilliant move, in my opinion. But he
Yep.
was able to get the coup on both sides. So and all this stuff with Kamala, of course, the media is going to do exactly what they're told, and Kamala is the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
But you're seeing a lot of cracks throughout the Democratic elite in regards to Kamala, because she's not smart, she's corrupt, she's an actual literal whore. She's incapable. She's carrying incredible amount of baggages, and the a lot of the elite are really digging into him. Like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is back doing his Daily Show, which fair enough, because the other guys they put in his place were not funny, and John has
No,
always been funny. It doesn't matter if you like his
he-
politics. John's funny, right?
that's right.
And He was roasting them on their duplicity just this past weekend, right? On
Right.
Friday, I think. And of course,
Yep.
he's not wrong. But
No, he's not. The
yeah,
problem is, at the end of the day, he's still going to pull that lever, and everybody knows it,
of course he will.
and
Yeah,
he knows it.
he knows it. Yeah,
I wish he wouldn't. I wish he had the integrity of a Mr. Bobby Kennedy, or a guy like a Jimmy Dore, who seems like he's off the train as well.
yeah. No, he
Um,
flipped, didn't he? Yeah,
yeah, I really wish these people would. They complain endlessly about the nonsense that the
yeah.
Democrats do, and then you finally have somebody who has a potential to actually build a unity party. He got a Kennedy on board, for crying out loud. And you're gonna say, no, he's got mean tweets. No, I don't like the fact that he says X, Y, or Z. No, or they'll make up some ridiculous thing that even Bill Maher of all people had to say is untrue, where these Democrat operatives insist, for some reason, I still don't understand why they
Mm,
insist that Trump hates gay people. He hates them. He wants to, execute them or whatever nonsense they say every
yeah,
other week.
yeah.
It's
Well,
there's nothing to support that. Like, there's not even a
no.
quote, nothing.
Well,
That is completely fabricated by the media. Completely.
my wife was watching one of those man on the street videos, which are quite
Yep.
popular on YouTube. She likes them. And this guy was just he was doing the right way. He didn't give his opinion whatsoever. He would just go around asking questions, shut up and let him answer, which is how you do it. And just asking, who you voting for. Of course, Kamala is most of the answer he was getting because of where he was. And okay, so you're voting for Kamala Harris. What is it that she's done that you like? Right? And of course, none of them could answer the question. And in the end, they all buckled down and just it was because they don't want Trump, which we know that's the fact. But I remember this. I saw this one girl, and she said, Well, I really wish he died in that bullet. I'm not a person who promotes violence at all. That's just not who I am." And the guy was like, "Okay, well, why?" Right? And she's because he's trying to bring communism back.
Ooh.
Yeah, I stared at the screen.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with over here. Actual communists.
Yeah, but
These.
she thinks that he is the one bringing communism.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yep.
you know nothing.
These people say
Hey, lady.
all the time. They say things about how great democracy is. Democracy is retarded.
We don't have a
And anybody,
democracy anyway, so I don't know what you're talking about.
regardless, the concept is stupid.
It
Why
is.
should everybody have a vote? Why? Some people are really dumb, like big time dumb. Like, they shouldn't even be allowed to drive a car. Dumb. That's how dumb these people are. I'm glad they live in cities where they don't own cars, because that's probably better for everybody.
I think so, yeah.
These people have absolutely no business making decisions about anybody else's life, including their own.
Yeah.
None. They are real stupid. So I don't even want people like me to vote. I said last week what my criteria is. That excludes me. I'm out. I'm done. I'm off the list.
Yep.
I have no desire for full franchise democracy, and I think, just as the founders told us, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Everywhere it's ever been tried, it
Yeah.
fails
Right.
utterly and catastrophically,
Yeah.
because there's a huge subset of people who are unbelievably selfish, self-centered, and self-interested, and they will only ever vote for what directly benefits themselves materially. And then there's a group of people in every society on earth who knows that that group of people exists, and they have no integrity or dignity, so they're just going to use those people to get what they want. Any person who doesn't understand that that's reality is a moron and has no business having political authority at any level, at any metric. That includes the franchise. This idea that voting is a human right is stupid. It's dumb. It's real dumb. It's not a
Yeah.
human right. You should have to earn that privilege and that authority, not just be granted it because you happen to do the thing of surviving to a certain age that we all just decided one day was the age. This is the number. There's no reason. There's no reason it's 18. That doesn't make any sense. You're not a full grown human at
Well,
18.
no, the
Not really.
Democrats did that so they could get younger voters, and
Yeah,
of course in Germany they lowered it to 16 this year. Idiots.
of course.
I do have a question. Alan's here, and he said the people are retarded. Quote Osho. What's an Osho?
I don't
I don't
know,
know who
but that
Osho is.
is funny.
Yeah.
He might be referencing the he might be referencing the there's a video of some preacher back in the day who said basically what I just said, but he said it a little bit more fun, a little more hilariously. And the way he puts it is he goes, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people, from the people. But the problem is the people are retarded.
Right. Yeah, I don't know
It's
who Osho is,
true.
but Bad Mike has an opinion.
Uh oh.
Means tests for voting are absolutely in line with the founding fathers' ideas. People need to read some history books. Yeah, no, that's true. Property owners, that's how it used to be. I want, it was a cult guru, Lal. I don't know what that means. You're still confusing me, Alan. But Thundara is correct. Oh, okay, so you caught it. Good for you,
Yeah.
because I didn't. I'm out of the loop. But yeah, and the thing is that Trump has shown himself to be rather a constitutionalist, which is interesting. And if that is true, which it seems to be true, is certainly his Supreme Court choices were not political ones; they were constitutionally based ones, which is an interesting
Mm.
choice, right? So if that's true, I would really like to see Trump just gut the American federal government, because federal government should not be anything at all what it is. It shouldn't be.
No.
The states, and once again, this word state, we could also just use the word country, right? People seem to have forgotten what that word means. But nevertheless, um, uh, at a bare minimum, he needs to get rid of the DOJ and the FBI, a bare minimum. But I think he needs to get rid of the EPA, the FDA. I don't know. It needs to be reworked at a minimum, but he needs to
Yes.
get rid of the FBI and the DOJ. They need to be gotten rid of. They don't need to exist anyway. The states have their own facilities for such things. We don't
Yes.
need a federal government version. It doesn't make any sense.
It just lends itself to tyranny.
It does.
That's all it does.
Now, having a Homeland Security Department that helps, and I wouldn't even call it security, I would just call it Homeland, and have it to where it helps to facilitate communication between states, fine. I have no problem with that, because that's what it's supposed to be doing. But why do we have federal police? It doesn't make sense. The states have their own policing system.
Yes.
It doesn't make
And it
sense that
works
you have
just
federal
fine.
police, and it works just fine. And the FBI has shown themselves to be incredibly corrupt. And this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time that the FBI has shown
No.
themselves to be a Gestapo, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Do we forget so soon Ruby Ridge and Waco? Do we? Now I
Yeah.
know they tried to badmouth those people and make them out to be these incredibly evil people, and of course, in the end, we found out that David Koresh was nothing at all what those various documentaries said he was. They just
Hmm.
murdered people, and they got away with it, right? And this is
Right.
not even looking at their modern abuse of just locking people up without any manner of trial. There are January 6 people who are still rotting in a cell that haven't been in front of a judge, right?
Yep.
The FBI is going after former leaders in the form of Trump, and not just Trump, everybody. They bankrupt Giuliani, right?
Yep.
I mean, people are always so focused on Trump, they're not looking at all the other nasty nonsense that the FBI is doing. It's completely evil Gestapo tactics. The FBI is out of control. It needs to be shut down. It needs to be
Yes.
shut down. And if Trump gets in, which there's no reason he shouldn't be, but we know how they are. But if he gets in and he fails to shut down the FBI, that's failure, in my opinion. That's
Oh, they're
complete
gonna kill him.
failure. I don't care what else he
He's done.
does. If he allows the FBI to continue, that's a failure.
Yep. I agree. Oh, believe me, I want the deep state entirely dismantled.
Yeah. No, I would get rid of
Every
pretty much
single
all of
one of
it.
them.
Yeah.
There's a few you might be able to reform, but there's so many agencies that most people don't even know exist. I couldn't name them all to you
No.
because every so often I hear of a new one. I'm like, what the hell's that? Where'd that come from? We have, I think, the last time I knew the number, it's probably more now. We have something like 17 different intelligence agencies. Why? Why do we need 17? Like that's absurd. I'm not saying we don't need an intelligence agency. Of course we do. But we don't need 17 to do one job. That's insane. And these agencies, the ABC boys, alphabet boys as they've been called, um, are evil. And we just saw recently a judge. From what I saw, I didn't read the actual judgment, but from what I saw, from what people were saying, including some lawyers, he basically threw out a case saying that the Reagan, by the way, old Reagan, his ban on uh, automatic weapons is unconstitutional, and the
Yeah.
ATF trying to enforce somebody not being able to own one of those is unconstitutional against the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
If he's correct, that is a correct statement, but it's shocking to watch because if that were to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court and they agreed, the ATF's just done. Just they're over. See ya. Goodbye. At least the firearm part of the ATF would be over.
Well,
Because that's pretty much their job is to make sure people don't get fully automatic weapons. They have
well,
they have to
once again,
regulate the hell out of it.
the federal government should have nothing to do with that. If you have
Yeah.
a homeland department that is help coordinating gun sales or movement from one state border to another, and they're assisting in the state's investigation into that, fine, right? But
Right.
otherwise, they shouldn't be involved at all. The problem is the Democrats have been banging since frickin' Jefferson. All right. To turn America into a democracy. Because, yes, a lot of the founding fathers said no, democracy's stupid, but not Jefferson because he's a freaking commie before they existed. Now, Jefferson did a lot of good things. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't, but that dude was one of the things, and of course, the Democrats are formed out of him, right?
Yep.
And that's where we are. They've been so desperate in turning it into a democracy, and they've been very successful. But I found the USA Gov page that has a list,
Uh
A
oh.
to Z index of the U.S. government departments and agencies.
Oh
Let's take
boy.
a look. Let's see if any of this shit makes sense. Uh,
Look
Ability
at them
One
all.
Commission. What the dude? We're just on A. Okay. Um, Ability One Commission. What the hell is that?
Oh my
Access Board.
god.
Administration for Children and Families, Community Living, Native Americans. Native Americans got their own sovereign land. They don't need none of your assistance. Um, Conference of the United States, Office of the United States, Courts, Council of Historic Preservation. Look at this shit. African Command.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have thousands of troops in Africa.
Yeah.
Africom.
African Development Foundation. That's been a waste of money.
Oh
Agency
my
for
god.
Global Media. Let's see. Healthcare Research and Quality. Well, you fucked that up. International Development. Yeah. Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. Isn't that under just the CDC?
I
Market
thought.
Agricultural Marketing Services. Why don't you just write in Monsanto? Okay. Our
Yeah.
Agricultural Research Service. Once again,
Why
site
are these
above.
not the same thing?
Right. Agricultural Department. Agricultural Library.
Oh
Okay. Oh,
no.
here's one that should exist. Air Force.
Yeah, we do need air
Yeah,
force.
we
We do
need
need
that.
planes. Need that.
Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm and Explosive Bureau. ATF, of course.
Yep. Get rid of that.
TV. What the hell's that?
What?
American Battle Monuments Commission to look after them. You screwed that up.
Yeah.
AmeriCorps still a thing? Really?
Apparently.
AmeriCorps Seniors, Animal and Plant Health Inspect. Look at this shit. I'm not even out of A.
You're just an A.
Let me see here. B, C. We got to get every letter. How many? Place your bets. Place your bets.
Oh my
D.
gosh.
Oh
D's
my.
probably huge. Yeah, D's huge. Yeah.
E. Very short one. Oh, F. We got an F. You got to F, of course, is federal, 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 foreign, full birth program. What is that Fulbright program? Fulbright? Uh oh. Freddie Mac. I thought we killed that. Um, G is short one. G. H. Okay. I. Do we
It's
have
funny. It's funny that G is a short one because nobody trusts government, so they don't call themselves government. Did
right?
you notice
Right.
that?
J. K. Ooh, the Kennedy
Kennedy Center.
Center. L. Oh, labor, labor, labor. Communist, communist. M. Ooh, is
Yep.
that the Marshall Service? Marshall Service. Oh, okay. Thought that was a Marshall Project. Uh oh. Mississippi River Commission. Yeah, because Mississippi can't handle that on their own. Yeah. The Mint.
I
Okay.
like how it's just
N.
called the Mint.
Have I
It's
missed it?
Mint.
We haven't missed one yet.
No, this is
I'm
probably a lot
I'm thinking,
nationally. Yeah. Ooh, look at
oh
this.
boy,
Look at
Nuclear Waste
this.
Technical Review Board. Okay. O,
Oh.
I think Q. I'm going for Q. The Oak Ridge boys. Let's see here. Office of Open World Leadership Center. Look at this nonsense. P. All right.
We're only
Pacific
halfway
Command.
through.
R. All right. Smaller. S. We got. We didn't have a Q.
Oh, there's gonna be some
Yeah, we
serious
didn't. There
S.
was
Yep,
no
we
Q.
skipped Q.
Yeah, we
That's
skipped Q,
interesting.
so we didn't have everyone. T, U, okay, U.S. stuff. All right, Navy. All right, torpedoes. We need that. V, W, and no X, Y, or Z. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a problem, and there is no easy solution for it. Fixing it will be very painful for the American people, but it's necessary medicine
Yeah,
because this is outrageous. This is not even
look at this
close.
nonsense, dude.
This is, in fact, the exact opposite of what the founders wanted, what we have become. And I don't even think most people want it because, like I said, if you notice, if you go back to G, all of these are government, literal U.S. government department and agencies, yet only maybe 3 or 4 of them, from what I saw, is called government something or other. You know why that is? Because Americans don't like the government.
Yeah, well,
So
Reagan
they
laid
hide the
that out
fact
pretty
of what their
simply.
name. Yeah, they change their names, hide their names, come up with new, interesting ways of saying what they are, and that's why they do that because they know that if the American people realized how leviathanic their government has become, it'd be a problem for them.
Yeah,
It's oh
and
gosh,
keep in mind
this is why.
this list of what do we just see a hundred, maybe more.
Oh,
Um,
probably more, yeah.
Now, just keep in mind, these are all of the agencies that are public rated, meaning they don't carry any level of secrecy to them, right? Keep in mind, there are many levels of secrecy beyond top secret, and I'm sure top secret isn't even the top, but it
No,
is a classification. So, all the ones that fall under some level of secrecy are not listed here, right?
right.
Of course, because it's not for public consumption. So I wouldn't be surprised looking at the dumbassery we're seeing here that we could have double or triple the number, right?
Right.
This is way, way beyond the pale. Appalachian Regional Commission, fuck off. Let the Appalachians deal with that shit. Architect of
Yeah,
the Capitol. Huh?
it's already architected. It's been architected for 200 years. What are we architecting?
Archives, National Archives, and Records Administration. That was a good one. Federal government should do that. That's the
Yeah,
Library of Congress, right?
that's kind of their main job. Actually, is to keep the paperwork. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Arctic Research Commission. Once again, why is that a government thing? Why isn't that some private organization? They used to be, right? I mean, why is this a public thing? Armed Forces Retirement Home. Okay, I'm cool with that one. Arms Control and International Security. What? What? Isn't that supposed to be the DOJ's job or Homeland Security or something like that? Army, fine. Okay, Army Corps of Engineers. Why do they get their own separate line? Why? Arthritis Musculoskeletal and Skin Disease, National Institute. What? NIAMS? Goodness gracious, dude. I've never looked at
It's
this before. I shouldn't have. I'm mad now. What
yes,
is
it's
this? What is
outrageous.
this? Look at this. This is a federal agency, Barry M. Goldwater. What?
Yep. Yeah, the
Scholarship
Goldwater
and Excellence in
Scholarship.
Education Found bankruptcy courts. Why is that not state by state? What the hell would a federal court have to do with that? That's another thing we need to get rid of federal courts. They shouldn't exist.
Correct.
Allowing the military to have their military courts, that's fine, because
Yes,
they should police themselves. But other than that, everything should be state based. The Bonneville Power Administration. Why does Bonneville have its own specific government agency? That sounds nefarious, doesn't it?
it does.
The Botanic Garden. Why isn't it the botanical? God.
Well, Chester, we have a serious bureaucracy problem, and everybody talks about when you say deep state. What do you mean when you say they, them, deep state? This
This,
is the deep. This
this,
right here.
right
This is
here.
what we mean.
Yes, Bureau of Engraving and Printing. What the hell are you talking about? That is done privately through the Federal Reserve, which is private. Keep that in mind. They try to shenanigan you by calling it the
Yep,
Federal Reserve Bank. It's
that's right.
bullshit. That's a private organization, always has been, and they're the ones that do all the printing. Keep that in mind. So why do we need a Bureau of Engraving and Printing, seeing as the government has nothing to do with it? Bureau of Indian Affairs. Why do we is it do we have one for each country on the planet? Or
No, no, no.
feather
That's
not
my
dot?
people. Yeah,
Oh,
that's my people. Indian.
featheries.
So why is there also a separate one?
And we saw
There's
already.
two.
We saw already. We saw
Yeah.
three. No, this is the third one.
What are we doing?
And that's why they
Again,
can't get nothing done, because you have separate
yes.
bureaus doing the same damn thing, stumbling over or each other. And we know these
Yeah.
agencies hate each other because
Oh,
they want to get their own golden leaflets, right?
right. Their own fun. They want their own big funding budgets and things, and they
Right,
can't
right,
have
right.
it because they have all this competition.
Yeah.
Uh, I agree with you. And you know what's weird is a lot of the American Indian people agree as well that the constant meddling by the federal
Dude,
government and others is
they've
a
been dealing with
problem.
those assholes for a long time.
Yes, they have. Since basically day one,
Well,
they've
I
been
mean,
dealing with them in
when
some
they were
form or
dealing
another.
with just the people, there was no problem. It's when the government became a thing that they started having
Uh,
problems, dude. If you go back and
Yep,
look at our history, the initial settlers and stuff, the Indians had there was no issues between them. The Indians had their own things going on, and of course, settlers
yep,
chose sides from time to time. But things didn't get real rough for the Indians until the government existed,
correct. That's true.
right?
Um, and it's still that way largely today. Like a lot of the people
Sure,
living in these
I bet
Indian
it is.
lands, um, because of certain things that we won't get into, their lives have been materially made worse in every respect, and there's no way to fix it because the government won't allow it to be fixed.
Yeah.
Uh, they don't want it to be fixed. They want them exactly how they are, clearly, because it's been this way for decades, maybe a century, and it's still the same way. And there's a little axiom that everybody needs to hear and understand. A system is what it does. That is
Yeah.
what a system is. A system is what it does. That is the purpose of any system, is what it does. So if a system continuously creates bad results, then the only logical conclusion you can come to is that's the purpose of the system
Yeah,
because no one's
no,
fixing it.
it's absolute mess we're looking at it here. Maple Sheik says hopefully Trump will keeps GI Joe intact. He's pro-military. I'm sure it's safe.
Yeah, GI
Um,
Joe would be all right.
yeah, GI Joe's okay. But what is this one? Bureau of International Labor Affairs. What?
I guess like migrant workers is the only thing I could figure that's for. Because otherwise, why does that exist?
What do we got? Bureau of Justice Statistics and Labor Statistics and Land Management. So
Why
why do
can't
we
we
need
just have one
statistics?
bureau of national
Yeah,
statistics?
why can't they handle their own job? Do your
Why can't it just
job,
be one? The
right?
Bureau of Land Management. You see that BLM? You see
Those
that
guys
right
are
there?
assholes.
They are maybe the most evil government agency there is. They might be. They're real
Well,
bad.
I'm gonna
And
I'm gonna put some of the onus on that on our boy Teddy Roosevelt, though.
it is,
It
yes.
is
He
he's got
didn't
to
he
take
didn't
he's
put
got to take a little bit for that.
restraints.
Yeah.
He didn't put restraints on them,
No.
unfortunately. But yes, the BLM, the real BLM, not the fake communist psyop that was nothing but a money laundering organization. Uh, they started to get known publicly into the public, zeitgeist right around that Bundy Ranch stuff because
Oh
we
yeah.
started to
Good
realize
for
that, hey,
them
wait a
though.
minute, why does the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, have control over, like, I think the number's around 70% of all the territory in the West? All of it. It's just under federal control and jurisdiction.
Which is
That is
ridiculous.
completely
It's ridiculous.
unconstitutional
Yeah. It
and
shouldn't
wrong.
exist. Yeah.
So here's my conspiracy theory. It's been mine for over a decade, and I've yet to be proven wrong on it. Right when that started to happen, see, the BLM doesn't want people to know about them. The Bureau
Yeah,
of Land
sure. All
Management,
of these don't
they,
want you to know about them.
yeah, they want it to stay under wraps as much as possible. So what they do is what happened is right around that same time is right when Ferguson kicked off, right when the Black Lives Matter movement kicked off out of nowhere over an incident where a cop rightfully shot a guy for charging at him. A guy who had just got done robbing a store, from what I remember. So this entire organization, I genuinely believe, was propped up by the deep state to run cover for the real BLM because the real BLM is completely unconstitutional and illegal. Yet they do it because no one challenges them,
Hmm.
and there's no excuse for why the federal government has control of that much territory. They're
Yeah.
only supposed to control the border and very select few military installations. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I guarantee you a lot of this, if I actually took the time to research this and I went and clicked on each one of these links and found out when they were founded, I guarantee a
Yep,
lot of this is really new. Listen to
it
how
is.
woke some of this is. Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, huh? Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, huh? That sounds very echo, doesn't it? Right? What is the
Well,
Bureau of
also,
Reclamation? Who are you? What are you reclamating?
why do we need a Bureau of Prisons?
No, that should be
Federal
all
Bureau
state
of Prisons.
based. I mean, outside
Yeah,
the military should have their own system, and they do.
but yeah, but they'd have their own. Yeah, they have their own whole internal
Yeah, but
system.
this is
Um,
nonsense. And keep in mind, that's all
any
been privatized. Listen to what I
yes,
just said. The
yes, sir.
assholes have privatized prisons. They've made it a capitalist entity. Are you
Yes.
fucking kidding me?
Yeah, no, it's evil. There's no way around it. It's pure evil. I said this the other night to some people, and we don't like saying it, but it's true. Antifa isn't totally wrong about America. America long ago became a fascist state in every way that's makes sense and functional on paper and in actual reality. We have become a fascist oligarchy.
Oh
We are
no, we're
controlled
definitely a
by this
fascist oligarchy.
incestuous,
That's very
yeah, this
true.
incestuous relationship between the public and the private
We've
that
been an
was never
oligarchy
intended,
for a long time.
and it's a big problem. And the only way that's going to get better, unfortunately, is probably a national political divorce, or if Trump is
Well,
actually the man that we think he is, and he just goes in there and just starts
guts it.
hacksawing the hell
Just
out of this
guts
deep
it,
state.
dude. Do the
Yeah,
melee thing. But keep in mind, in regards to that, right? When we're talking about all these government agencies and stuff, that a lot of these things are all pork barrel crap, right?
yep,
They've been put in place because of some junior senator or congressperson wants to get a little shine on themselves, and they just start layering. That's why we see so many things repeating themselves, even though they're separate agencies. Eric here says the 10-year anniversary of the Ferguson protests was a couple of weeks ago. Guess what? A cop ended up in critical condition in the hospital during the 10-year celebration. Of course he did. It's all
yep.
nonsense. It's all nonsense. But Bureau of the Census, once again, what does that have to do with the federal government? Bureau of Fiscal Services. What? Is that is that welfare?
Wait, wait a minute. So not only do we have the Treasury, whose job is to oversee the fiscal part of our culture, our country. We have the Federal Reserve, which technically is but isn't I mean, it's the most fascistic organization in America because it's a federal agency, but it's not. It's privately owned, yet the president gets to decide their chairman. It's a mess. It's pure
Yeah, it's
fascism,
it's
is what it is.
nonsense. It is nonsense.
Uh,
Um,
we have them, we have the Treasury, we have the Mint, which is technically under the Treasury but operates separately. As we saw, it's got its own thing. And then I think there's the SEC, there's the FEC, there's all these different organizations who are supposed to be in charge of fiscal fiscal aspects of our country. Why? Why do we need this many bureaus? It seems almost, I don't know, call me crazy, fiscally irresponsible
It is
to have
fiscally
this many people
irresponsible.
who do the same
Um,
job.
Bad Mike has got a take here. The private prison system is under investigation. I absolutely agree with minorities that complain about the pipeline from the projects to the prison. They are right in a way. Yeah, got to keep the prisons full so the stockholders can earn a good profit. Yeah, no, privatizing prisons is insane. It's
Yes,
insane.
correct.
It's just it defeats the whole purpose. It's evil, and
Yep.
another thing you keep in mind. You talk about it being a fascistic oligarchy. We've been under oligarchic rule for quite a while, but
Yes,
so you're like, okay, well they won. They got what they wanted. Right. So why all the continued noise? Well, the problem is that the people in charge, they want a plutocracy. They don't want an oligarchy. That's
that's
the
right.
problem, and that's why they're banging against each other. You think all
Right.
these powerful bankers and high end politicians and all that stuff, and the big business guys get along? They don't get along at all.
No.
They are operating at different ends. Now they have to work together from time to time because what is the greater good is good for both of them, right? But that's why you're still seeing all this stress because the big businesses, the oligarchs, are fighting against the plutarchs. So now the difference between just to verify for you, oligarchy means run by business. Plutocracy means to be run by elites, right?
Right.
Instead of a king, a monarchy, mono meaning one, many, right? A plutocracy. And that's what we got going on. It's those two banging heads, and everyone else suffers underneath of it. We're far, far away from any concept of democracy, as stupid as that is, and certainly far away from a constitutional republic. But
Yep.
more statistic departments. Fuck off, dude. Capitol Police, they need their own department, do they?
Apparently, they need, yeah, for some reason.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, the Democrats have overseen a huge expansion of their power because of January 6th. Uh, no, this it's another. It just needs to go.
it does.
Why
Capitol,
can't the DC police handle that? Why do you need your
right.
own
And why
police?
isn't this all under one department anyway? Capitol Visitor Center needs its own freaking department.
Would it? Unless that means tourists, I'm assuming that means like diplomatic stuff. So why wouldn't that just be the diplomatic services job? What?
Yeah,
Why do we need?
yeah, it shouldn't be separated like this. It should be simple departments underneath a single agency, if at all. We don't
Yeah.
really need this shit. I mean, honestly, do you need a department for the Capitol Visitor Center? No, it's just a job. It doesn't need its own
Yep.
government
It's
department.
that's what it is. It's a jobs program. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is.
And it's gross
Why
that
am
we're
I
being
seeing the
fleeced.
Census Bureau show up again?
Listen, we
Well,
need a
we
lot of
had the
census
Bureau
bureaus.
of Census. Now we have the Census Bureau. What? Are you kidding me? Is this a typo?
Maybe it's a typo. Maybe it is. Or our government is that incompetent.
Wow. Why in this next one? Why isn't this under the Education Department? Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition. You guys suck. You're not doing your
Yep.
job. Nutrition policy. Once again, separate things that should be underneath the together something else. Center for Parent Information and Resources. Another one that sucks at their job. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They're involved in some shady shit. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Didn't we already see this covered? Central Command, CENTCOM. What? Central Intelligence Agency. Chemical Safety.
Uh
What? Why is this a separate thing? Chief. Oh, we have chiefs. We have four of them.
oh.
Chief
The Chiefs have shown
Acquisition
up.
Officer. So the guy who gets the food for the commissary, what? Chief Financial Officer Counsel, Chief Human Capital Officer. Excuse me, human capital? Chief Information Officer, another job that is not being done properly. Child Support Enforcement Office of. Wow.
What? Why is
Wow.
there a federal agency
Wow.
for that?
That maybe if it said after it for Washington D.C.,
Yeah.
sure. But what? What should you have to do with child support or enforcement anywhere in the country at all?
Hey, look, we got to an actual constitutional one right there. The next one. That one's supposed to exist.
Circuit Courts of Appeal. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that was
That's
and now and you're right, Thundero. That is in there so that if you're not getting justice from your state, you can
that's
appeal
right.
to a higher authority. That
That's
so
right.
Circuit Courts of Appeal.
We
Appeal,
got one.
not judgment, appeal.
That's right. Correct. That is the federal government's job. They are supposed to be the insurer of last resort. They're supposed to be the ones who you go to when you can't get justice otherwise. They are not supposed to be the ones delivering or executing that justice otherwise at
Right,
all.
right.
That's not
They're
their
not
role.
supposed to. Citizen stamps a stamp. What the hell is stamp?
I'm assuming. What are we at? Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee. If either it's a literal meaning and it's literally the people who decide the stamps, like stamps we put on envelopes, but I would imagine they probably do something that has to do with international trade.
No, maybe,
Stamps.
maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, stamp is that kind of money laundering crap. Civil
hmm
Rights Division, Department of Justice, Civil Rights
So
Department of Education. Once again, Civil Rights Department of Health and Human Services. Why do you have anything to do with this whatsoever? That
why
should
do
be
you have that
private.
many of them?
Well, that should be private. The
Look at what
Coast
we got here.
Guard.
Coast Guard. All right,
Okay,
that's
I'm
fine.
fine with
That should
that. Yeah.
exist. That's literally their job. Oh, that's in fact that's kind of their main job is to guard the coasts. Um, what else we got? Commission of
Commerce
Fine
Department.
Arts.
Yeah.
Oh, the Commerce Department. Yeah, that shouldn't exist. Commission of Fine Arts shouldn't exist. The Commerce Department shouldn't exist, and the only reason it does is because the courts didn't want to do their job, because the court's job is to be the Commerce Department and to facilitate disagreements between businesses and between states and trade and these sorts of things. But the courts didn't want to do that because, it's work. And so we came up with this brilliant idea of, what if we just made rules that people had to follow and then we don't have to do this as much?
Yeah.
Uh, no. What if we didn't? What if that's a bad idea because it's not your job? You're
Yeah.
not supposed to be
Yeah.
making rules like that, federal government.
No, they're not. And the Commission of International Religious Freedom. What? What? Why does that have anything to do with government?
Unless you want to pray by an abortion clinic, then you're
Well,
in
I mean,
trouble.
it shouldn't exist. And you wonder why things are so freaking swampy and messed up. Look at this shit. Commission on Presidential Scholars. Excuse me? Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, the Helsinki Commission. Fuck those foreigners.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, they don't like us anyway. Keep in mind,
Immediately
even though
dissolve
America's been
NATO
on
and
top for
leave the United
decades,
Nations.
they all look down on us. Just keep that in mind. They all do.
Yes. I unironically immediately dissolve NATO and leave the United Nations.
Look at all these
That's
look at
my
this
position.
commodity. Future trading what? That right there sounds illegal as hell. Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Excuse me? That shouldn't be no, 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 no. There shouldn't be anything like that attached to the federal government. Are you kidding
Well,
me?
how do you think Pelosi made all her money?
Yeah,
Come
but
on
dude,
now.
that's not right. And we're
I
making jokes about a
agree.
lot of this nonsense, but that's not right. Um, Community oriented. I thought you weren't supposed to use that word. Policing services. What does that mean? What does orientation of policy servicing have to do with community? What does
Community
that
planning
mean?
and
Do what we
development.
say, not what we do? Is that what that
Yo,
committee is?
we're getting to the guy who has definitely, in every possible way you could understand the term failure, this office, this position, this agency, this whatever you want to call it, has failed on every possible metric.
Yeah.
The comptroller of the currency, holy shit, should that person be hung?
Oh
I don't
wow.
even
Yeah.
care. Like
Yeah.
that, they have. Chester, I saw a statistic the other day. I didn't confirm it, but I have no reason to believe it's not true. That in the last 4 years, 1 million American dollars, 1 million American dollars has lost almost 50% of its value
Mm.
in 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
This gentleman here, or woman, or whatever it
Whatever they
is,
are, they're not
have
the.
utterly failed. And if we were to go back in time to like Roman days or other high civilization eras, you fail this bad at allowing the currency to be debased, you know what happens to you?
Yeah.
The Praetorian kills you.
That's
That's
right.
what happens to
That's
you.
true. Well, this person is probably on vacation in the Aegean. But now here's a problem that pops up to me, and I wonder if you guys notice it. Congress, U.S. House of Representative, Congress, U.S. Senate. Now,
Yeah,
keep in mind what we're looking at here is the executive branch, right? America is
right.
split into. We have a trinary system, right? We have the Supreme Court, which is separate. We have the Congress system, which is separate, and we have the executive branch, which is separate. So why, under the executive branch, just because that's where we are, why do we have Congress at all? It shouldn't be here.
Bush.
It should not be here. It should be its own entity that is not covered by the federal government. It is all the federal government stuff is executive branch, which is why Trump can gut it, right? That's why he has the ability to do so because it's under his rule. This should not be here. It should not be
Yeah,
here. Yeah,
but there it is.
there it
There it
is.
is. So much of this stuff was created by fiat, by one president or another, or one president multiple times, like the FBI and other agencies. They could literally be erased the same way, but no president has the courage to do it, or at least has yet.
No, they need to.
Maybe
He needs to
that'll
reduce this
change.
by 99%. Copyright office. I'm okay with that. Having copyrights outside of the state's purview and have it be kind of this universal thing. I don't have a problem with that. The Corps of Engineers, military. Yeah, I could sit here all day doing this, dude. Look at all this court shit that should not be here. It should be under the court system, right? It should not be federal.
Right.
Cyber Command. Our boy Ben.
They should just have a picture of Ben right there. Just
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he's operating via another private entity. To be fair,
Yeah.
but
You
they're
know,
having
more
some fun.
fascism. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Cybersecurity
Um.
and infrastructural security agencies.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Trump made them powerful. Good
yeah,
job, buddy. Uh. No, that's the problem. Is there's two. This is the deep state. This is them. When people say them, well, some people mean Jews, but those people are silly. They say them. We say them, you, them, there. This is them. These agencies, not all of them, of course. Some of them are just trying to do the stupid job they were given. But the people at the top of this bureaucratic mess is them. The shadow government that exists clearly because somebody's organizing this,
hmm
somebody's doing it, and it definitely isn't Joe Biden. So somebody's in charge of it. They are them. So when
yeah.
people say that stuff, or they say, "Man, I hate the government," this is what they mean.
This
Now,
is
some
what you
people mean
mean. Yeah,
Congress as well, but I mean, Congress has earned our ire when they send our money overseas constantly, while the price of food has tripled in some respects all over the country. Um, these people have deserve excuse me, have earned and deserve your ire.
yeah,
You should
yeah.
not feel
They have,
bad for
and
despising them for what they've done.
Mike reiterates the point we're already making. The problem with these agencies is they become entrenched with their own
That's right.
projects and supporters and protectors. That's right. That's the problem. You have all these hundreds of agencies banging heads with each other for their own fame, right?
Right.
To get their money. If your agency fails, he says you were right, which never say that out loud, bad Mike. If your agency fails for 40 to 50 years, it's time to dissolve it. I don't even think we should go that far.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
think we need to wait a whole
no,
generation. I think we
Um,
could give them two. If you can't get me results in 2 years, I'll give you two. You can't get me results, meaningful, tangible results, and whatever you've been tasked with, you gotta go. You're done. Get out of here. And if it's the problem somehow gotten worse, well, then we might have some criminal charges waiting for
yeah.
you on the other end.
I'm going to stop here. I could go through this whole list and we'd be here all damn day. But
Oh,
because this is a riot. I mean, this is so ridiculous, dude. It's just
yes.
ridiculous.
Hey, there's another
Um,
one that's supposed to exist: Customs and Border Patrol. Hey, all right, we got two. We got two on the list.
yeah.
Oh no, we had the Coast Guard too. I'm sorry, we got three.
And here's another one that just is so stupid. Delaware River Basin Commission. Excuse me? Let Delaware
Why?
handle that. Delta
Let the
Regional
Delaware,
Authority.
all these people, all the states that are around the Delaware River, which I don't even think there's that many. I think there's only two or three, if my geography is correct. I think they can handle their own river. Call me crazy, but I don't think they have any intentions on allowing it to be poisoned. And if they do, well, fine. Then you send the other agency. Then someone can handle it. But we don't need a whole
We'll let the
commission
people handle
to
it. We're starting to
actively oversight it. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're starting to get into some things now you can start arguing whether they should exist or not. Department of Defense
Yeah.
should exist.
Yes.
Department of Justice, once again, it's not working properly. Department of Education should certainly not exist, without
No.
question.
Not the
Um,
government's job.
yeah, Homeland Security, Department of State, Labor, Justice, Treasury, Veterans
Treasury, yes.
Affairs. God, you guys suck. National
Yes.
Intelligence, the Director's Department. Why can't we just
See,
have that all under
in
CIA?
The VA is the reason why is the main argument I have against a universal healthcare system in America, a real one, not the nonsense we've been using, because they can't even do that on a small. It's a much smaller scale than it would be the whole country. They can't even get that to operate efficiently without killing a whole bunch of innocent vets. Why in
Yeah,
God's name should we give them even more authority over
I know.
everybody's health? Like
Yeah,
that's craziness.
yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on from this, but wow, dude, take a look at it. I mean, look at the nonsense here. It's just insane. This should not exist, dude. Another immigration office. This is why they can't get anything done, dude. Fannie
Yeah,
Mae.
there's
I mean, come on, dude.
too many cooks in the kitchen,
Yeah,
and these people, most of these agencies and bureaus only still exist because closing them means people lose their job,
yeah.
and that looks bad on an economic
On
report.
Democrats.
Yep.
But
Or
you
well,
know what?
anybody.
Yeah. Well, the thing with it is, um, here in Japan, Japan is a democracy. It is mastery of capitalism, but they also have quite a bit of socialism here in Japan. It's just not openly talked about in that way, but it does exist. And
Right.
they have a lot of jobs that are just generated so people have jobs, but it's done efficiently. So we do have a situation, and we have an internal economy as well, where you can see it work well. This can work, but it
Right.
has to be done efficiently, and it has to be done at the behest of the people, which is how
Yes.
Japan functions. The problem with this is these people and these agencies. I don't know the percentage, but we know it's high. They hate most of the people.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They don't like them. Not
No.
fans.
So, of course it can't, and this is way too convoluted. I'm going to move away from this because I won't leave unless I force myself to. Uh, it's insane, dude. This is
It is.
insane.
It is.
So let me just. I'm done talking about it, Mike. I'm moving on.
He's had enough. We've had enough. No, it's outrageous. It's when in fact we should just like sticky this link somewhere in the fanspeak Discord server. So anybody, when you say I'm tired of the government, you say, well, what's that mean? It's not one monolith. You're right. It's not. It's a
That's the
thousand
problem.
little
That's the
pillars. It's a
problem. Yeah,
thousand little pillars that are stabbing us all in the back every day.
that's
That
right.
yes, correct.
Well, let's see here. The Foreign Agricultural Service. Why does that exist? We click on it. It gives us a little blurb of information. It gives us their own very own website,
Yep.
contact, where you can cut, because it's government. They have to put that there, even though they won't answer the phone. And then
No,
more
they won't answer.
information. So any one of these, you could do a full on research paper. and
Yep.
I'm not doing it. I'm busy. Now, you guys don't
No,
understand me. You don't understand how I am, dude. If I got into this and doing research, my wife would be dragging me away from the computer for months.
yep. And it would take months, years probably. Now you know why Alex Jones is crazy. Folks, this is why.
Yeah.
It's not because he's wrong, he is sometimes, but
He's
because he's actually
99%
looked
of the
into
time
this
right,
stuff.
dude.
He's looked into this stuff and it drove him mad. If you listen to Alex from 25 years ago, he's chill, he's calm, he's in good shape. He's a totally different man. 25 years of deep research into the deep state has he stared into the abyss for too long
Mm,
and he went
yeah,
mental.
he did.
That's what happened. And that's by design. They want it to be that way. They want it to be an impossible web that's nearly impossible to untangle. So just like the old Gordian knot,
Mm,
we need an Alexander to come up and be like and slice that bitch in half. Because that's the only solution at this point. You're not gonna. There's no scale it back. There's no. We need a Millet. We need a Bukele. We need somebody who's willing to go in there and get called mean names and just cut the son of a bitch in half
yeah, just
and be done
just
with it.
just absolutely dismantle it, and dismantle it in such a way that it would take them decades to rebuild it.
Yes, it took
That
them
you know,
centuries to build this, so
yeah,
it
yeah,
takes a lot longer to build than it does to destroy. That's one
yeah,
of the truths of the universe. Destruction is quick and sudden. Creation is slow and plodding.
right,
So, yes, that is the solution. It's always been the solution. If somebody can't do that, then the only other alternative is we have to pull the American nation away from this tick,
mhm,
these giant, this field of ticks that's all over us. Because otherwise, it's, I mean, we're heading for totalitarianism like the world's never seen.
right. Well, interesting thing here. If we go back, and we go to C here, um, this right here, where Congress, they have a federal department that's involved with Congress, right? Congress, House of Representatives, and the Senate, of course. Now, obviously, they are separated, and the executive branch can't affect them directly. But they've created a federal agency to facilitate them, is what I'm assuming they're doing.
Yep.
Because they put it executively, um, Trump could just shut off their faucets. I mean, they're the idiots that did this. They're the idiots that did this. So he can't affect them directly, but he can affect their money. It looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
put it under the executive branch, and he has control over that. So
That's what he said he's probably he wants to do for a lot of these is just cut their funding, cut the purse
right
string.
here, Congressional Budget Office. Hey, you idiots put it underneath the executive branch. You shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
Yeah, Trump should just dig it. Just absolutely gut him. But
Because some
anyway,
of these he can't, with just a stroke of the pen, he can't just erase all of them, but he can absolutely shut off most of their funding, if not
he
all
could
of them.
shut their
Can
funding
do that.
down. He could shut their
Yep.
offices down. He could do a lot of things, right? But anyway, we're moving on.
Let's get out of there. Let's get from one depression to another. The Crow, Rotten Tomatoes. This is a lot of comments. Reactions, box office, depressing, soulless, thoughtless.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, we all saw the trailer for this.
I don't think that should have a comma.
Yeah,
Crow,
don't
Rotten Tomatoes, reaction.
Matt McGlowan is not much of a writer, okay?
Any other
But
time they don't put enough punctuation. The one time he decides he remembers commas exist, and I'm pretty sure he got it wrong. Unless he's
yeah,
trying to say something I don't understand.
but yet he took time to put the umlaut over Skarsgård's name. Look at that.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
got
right.
time for
Yeah.
that though. But anyway, we saw the trailer for this, and it looked god awful. It just looked
Yeah.
wrong. The
That looks god
Skarsgårds,
awful.
well, the
Picture.
Skarsgårds have done a pretty good job overall. They're pretty solid actors around the board. All the father and all the brothers. But it looked bad, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised in the least that this thing is god awful bad. I'm not surprised. It's just an absolute train wreck of a movie. Even though we're seeing 65 over here on the audience score, and we see we usually when we see such a low critic count and a higher fan count, we usually well, it's a good movie and the critics hate it because it's not woke enough. In this case, I don't think that's true.
I
Um,
think
uh,
it's just trash.
Yeah, now this reviewer goes through it very clearly, and it shows that it's kind of the typical nonsense we're getting in regards to let's take remember the first movie. We got to member bury it. We want everyone to remember, right? Even though we're
Mm.
rebooting it, so it has a lot of those kind of touches that are like, oh, you remember from the first movie with Brandon Lee? Remember, and of course it does it horribly and stupidly. And not aside this the casting, he just doesn't look right, and she's this. It's just a really ugly woman, which I suppose doesn't matter, I guess, because who love is love, right? I mean, who cares, right? But that is a
Well,
scary, ugly woman, dude.
I would say I'm not trying to love this woman, so I would much rather she be pretty than otherwise.
Well,
Like,
I mean, it's a movie, so you would think, and from the
yeah,
first movie, we did have a beautiful woman in there.
like like the Chinese said, why are they so ugly when they were talking about Star Wars? Like, yes, correct. There's no reason to continuously cast unattractive people in roles that are clearly designed for somebody to be attractive.
Yeah,
Why
but you
would
know what I
somebody
mean.
bend over backwards in this manner
I'm
for something that's not
I'm
attractive?
trying to be magnanimous.
No, no, no. This movie doesn't deserve magnanimity. It's trash.
Yeah.
It's the worst of the because it's not only is it woke trash with the
It
unnecessary
is
race
woke.
swapping.
Yeah.
It's just trash. Like it's just a badly written film from what I've seen, and even badly acted, badly directed. Like I haven't seen a single person mention a saving grace.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think even the soundtrack's bad, bro.
it's not making money either. It's really, really not making money. It's because that trailer, everyone's like, "Ooh, yeah, no, yeah, no." It's
No,
just
thank you.
bad casting. And like I said, the Skarsgårds and Bill as well, they usually do pretty good, but it just doesn't look right. And of course, it's not written right either. And
Yep.
I understand that she plays a much bigger role in the movie than she should because it's called The Crow, right? It's about revenge for her, not about her, right? But you can read the article if you want. I put this in here because wow, this movie's getting trashed, dude. It's getting trashed. And it's not getting and if you look in here, none of this is political as far as the people's opinion, right? There's
Right.
no political comments. It's just like, "Oh, this sucks." I mean, this
Yeah.
person used the word perfunctory. I mean, you don't bring
Yep.
that word out without thinking about it, right? I mean, Um,
They decided they really got deep into the vocab
yeah.
there.
This is an old person. The Crow Review. This Daffy remake is for the birds. Wow, that's an old reference.
We found a 90-year-old to write this,
Yeah.
write that
Uh
review.
uh and FKA Twigs. What a dumbass name. Yeah, but they're not going political here. It sucks. And people are comparing this to Borderlands. Wow. 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 Yeah.
Well, Borderlands was also just awful.
Yeah. God awful writing. Uh wow. Now, this person makes a good point. Look, I'm not going to say the new Crow movie is amazing or anywhere near the level of the original, but there have been some bad Crow movies. That is true. That some of those, I guess you can be kind and call them B movies. Direct to video crap, it's pretty bad. This is decent
Yep.
enough. So he said you can watch it. It's better than those direct to video movies. Okay, that's an endorsement. That's a positive review, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna spend money on that.
Wow. Crow is on par with Borderlands for being one of the worst adaptations of 2024, maybe of the decade. Wow. Oof.
Yep.
Wow. Here's another one. Vicky Hope says, "Okay, now I can finally talk about The Crow. I won't call it the best movie I've seen, but it wasn't the worst either." Okay. Though the cinematography was some beautiful moments, which it should have. It's The Crow. The characters, especially Eric, felt a little flat. Okay, well, he's the entire movie, man.
Flatch,
He's the entire
he's
movie, ma'am.
the main character.
Yeah, and of course, here's that trailer again that we already watched before, and it's just bad. I don't want to get copyright struck again.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. We're not surprised that this did so poorly, but it's turned out far worse than I expected it would be, and it kind of sucks because a lot of us who enjoy the original movie were waiting for a good Crow movie because we had the
Yeah.
first one, the second one, and then after that, I think they've made another three or so. They're really bad. They're really bad. Direct to video B movie. They're not even worthy of being called B movie. They're so bad.
Yeah,
So a
they're
lot of
terrible.
us have been waiting for a very long time to have a good, fun Crow movie. Nope, we don't get it.
Nope, not allowed. Not
Not allowed.
allowed.
And
Um,
it's unfortunate.
it is a shame, and one of the things I'm struck by just looking at this promotional material is, yeah, the Skarsgårds all seem to be decent actors, and they're good-looking enough guys, but the sex appeal is way off.
Yeah,
He, the first Crow movie had something for both. You had the Crow guy, whose name escapes me suddenly, and you had the actress. Both were very attractive people.
Brandon Lee.
Yeah, Brandon Lee. Both very attractive people, and he had a look about him. He had that rocker build and rocker look with the long hair and everything. Something about that aesthetic for a character like this is very important. And I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 different reasons if you break down the psychology of it, but the fact that he has this weird boomer, or I'm sorry, zoomer haircut is also not helping. A movie like this is sold entirely on its vibe. Entirely. You could have even did the weird race stuff, and you could have even done a lot of the woke
Sure.
stuff. You can get away with that in a movie that's aesthetically correct. That's
Well, yeah.
vibe is correct.
If you're going to make it a Zoomer movie, then bite the bullet, right? Don't put him in a freaking trench coat. Trench coat.
Right.
Boomers don't wear trench coats. They run around in holey shorts, t-shirts that are a decade too old for them to be wearing, holy Crocs or sandals, and have little bits of very cheap, colorful accessories dotted about
Yes.
themselves. I mean, if you
Well, and
wanted to go full Zoomer.
what's funny is the Zoomers that I know, the ones in my family, they prefer the early 2000s, the 1980s, 1970s, 90s, early 2000s
Everyone
aesthetic
does. Yeah,
over the stuff that's supposedly made to cater to them because it's, well, trash, but also because it had its own unique actual identity. It had its own flavor,
sure.
it had its own look. And
Yeah,
some things are just timeless. A long-haired warrior of vengeance, for whatever reason, our subconscious just loves that shit.
yeah,
It just can't get enough.
yeah,
And it's a timeless look. So when you give him you have to either commit to it and make him bald and give him some sort of facial hair, right, like Stone Cold Steve Austin style, or you have to give him the long hair for it to work.
right.
It's
Well,
for I don't know why this is, but this is the way our psychology works when it comes to this sort of character.
well,
And
you got
it's we know that because you can see it in basically everything. The only real exception is a guy like Batman, but I will point out that Batman has a cowl, which makes him bald.
yeah, well, that's true. But that's not what I wanted. Let me just go here. Here we go. No, I don't want that. Here we go. Now the another thing too with the original movie, big money played a big part
Yep,
in everyone loving that movie. I mean, Brandon did a good job, sure. Sorry, Top Dollar, not Big Money. But Michael Wincott freaking owned that dude with Bai Ling as his half sister lover. That was freaking
yep.
awesome. I mean, the side characters play a lot, and that's true. Ernie Hudson was in that movie. Um,
The other one that helps a lot is the most important. I honestly think it's the most important character for any really any film at all, especially if you're going trying to go broad appeal. The soundtrack
Oh
is
yeah, the
one of the
soundtrack
best
was great. That's
ever
true.
made.
Yeah, that grungy
Yeah,
rock. It was
yeah.
really good. Yeah, but I mean,
See, the culture now isn't made for a character like the Crow. We're
right.
just it's the culture
Well,
shifted. It's not like it'd be like trying to make that character in like I don't know, like the mid '80s. I don't think it would work on in a movie like
yeah,
that. I just
but
don't think it would.
they want to go about their race swapping and their, we need diversity. Let's take a look here. Brandon Lee, half white dude, half freaking Honganese, right?
Yes.
Top dollar, certainly a white dude. Black guy, Latino girl, Asian girl, Slavic maybe, black guy, Tony Todd, the man.
Yeah.
Italians, yeah, another black lady. Look at the diversity in this cast. Look
Yeah,
at it.
and they didn't have to kvetch about it. They just did it,
No,
and they
because
all
it,
they
yeah,
just
and it
existed.
worked perfectly, right?
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a great film. It's not,
It's
but
fun.
it's fine for what it is. It's fun. It's an interesting idea, interesting concept, which has been done before, but spirit of vengeance type thing. Uh, and it was such a cool aesthetic. I'm going back to this because this is what makes or breaks a movie like this. The aesthetic, the vibe of it was so cool that the professional wrestling icon Sting changed his entire character to match it,
Yeah,
and still does it to this day.
yeah,
He never
yeah.
dropped it.
Well, yeah, yeah, and he's talking about the wrestlers thing, not the singer. Although the singer did dress
Yep.
like this for a while as well.
Yep.
But yes, Maple Chic has sounded off again. The
Uh
Crow should have been a fat gay guy with a neck beard and a kitty
oh.
cat sweater, tight shorts with holes and Crocs. Now I said that already, but you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a bit of a disaster. Oh well.
And it's
Moving
funny
on.
because this should be a movie that attracts women because you should have casted somebody
A
who
sexy
women will
boy.
come a
Yeah.
sexy boy. And it's not that he's an unattractive guy, he's just not this
And
guy.
he's
And they
not
didn't
this
even
guy.
try to
He's not this
to
guy.
make him aesthetically that guy. So my point is, for whatever reason, a lot of women really like men and only like men if they have long hair. I have had multiple conversations with different women, including my wife, who she doesn't really find Henry Cavill attractive, except for when he was Geralt with the long wig, the long hair. A lot of women are like that. They love them a tall, long haired, big, muscularly brute. It's just
Bearded too.
subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
subconscious to them.
it just is a throwback, yeah. But no, I like Bill, but this is not the right role. This is horrible casting. This
Yep,
twig thing that they got to play the love interest. Once again, she's a minor role. She is a plot device. And if you go look
correct.
at the credits over here, we don't even have a picture for the girl who played her, right?
Right.
We don't, because she probably did a movie or two in her commercial or something because she was pretty, but don't let her talk, right? It's probably what this girl is, right? Um, they we don't do we don't have anything on here. She did. Oh, she's done some stuff. She did a few things. Crow, Hell House. She B movies. But she look at the gap though.
Yep.
Maybe she got married and had kids. But we don't even have a picture for her, dude. Right? Because she's not the point. But they pushing this twig thing, and you're already off it. But yeah, you needed a sexy young guy that the girls find attractive, going on a vengeance hunt. But they can't even get that right. Anyway, this story that never freaking dies. Keep in mind, this shit's been going on 5 years. 2019 is when Disney announced it. Now, you would
Yep.
assume that they had already had that in the works for a while. So I'm just going from the announcement point that we knew about it, right?
That's
5
right.
freaking years, coming on 6. Go ahead.
Blade Yandamanch, that's a name, is still gone.
Now, we talked about a little while ago about another director leaving, right? And this has lost a bunch of production people. It's lost actors. Still has Ali attached to it, which give him credit for perseverance. But there was rumors from E Online that that Damage was coming back, but no, he's not. But I put this up here just for the fact that this shit won't go away. I
Yep.
mean,
And
my
it's
goodness.
largely because he, Mr. Ali,
Ali, yeah.
uh, really wants to do this movie.
Yeah, he does.
If he walked away, it'd be over. That's it. It's done.
That's
They're
true.
not going to do it.
He really wants to
So the
do it.
only
Yeah.
reason, yeah, is because he really wants to do it. He wants to play Blade. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. After the Wolverine Deadpool Wolverine movie, I don't see any reason we can't get a one-off film with Wesley.
Right. And this is another reason I brought it up because amongst all the chaos, and we know nothing is getting done. This is 5 years of
Yep.
chaos. Nothing has been done. Nothing. Right. It's just a hot mess. However, Ryan Reynolds wants a Wesley Snipes Blade movie with a Logan style send off. I don't disagree.
Yep.
Right. And in that, we could look at a much older because it nothing says he lives forever in that,
Correct.
right? He certainly would might age slower, maybe or maybe not. But we could certainly have a much older Blade during the time he since we've seen him, which has been decades. He had himself a kid. And I know that Ali and him are not too dissimilar in age, but black don't crack, baby. Um, we can say it's his kid or something, or he passing the
I mean,
mantle onto another warrior.
if they're still doing multiverse shenanigans, they can do that
They could
too.
do that
It
too.
doesn't
That's
matter
true. That's true.
as
Uh,
long as it's done well and it's used simply as a plot device, which is all it's been used in a lot of the recent films.
well, I
Whatever.
I did see
Um,
Mahershala in a movie recently. My wife was watching. It had him. It had who's the girl who did Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman. She was in it. Boy, she's looking old. Time was not
oh yeah,
kind to her. Um, and it had
she's
Kevin
too skinny.
Bacon,
Why?
Ethan. What's that pretty good
Ethan
actor?
Ethan Hunt.
Is it Hunt? No, that's Tom Cruise's character in Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Hawk.
um,
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. Hawke. Um, yeah, no, Ethan Hawke, and one of the ugliest humans I've ever seen in my life. She's, you know, that guy who they did the really bad Johnny Depp Willy Wonka remake, right?
Yep.
And the guy who played all of the Oompa Loompas,
Right.
that guy. Yeah. He has that certain type of dwarfism that you see occasionally, and the way that their jawline and you can see it in their face, right? There, it's a certain type of, dwarfism, right? There are many types. Well, this girl clearly has that. She was playing a little girl, but I told my wife, nah, nah, nah. She has that bone structure. This is a probably a 20-year-old. She turned out to be like 19. Right, playing like a little
Right.
kid, and that's fine. Hollywood loves that kind of stuff. But oh man, not to be mean to the girl, but it's the ugliest damn human I've ever seen. I couldn't even look at her when she was on screen. It was so bad, dude. So hideously ugly. Which like isn't her fault. I get it, right? Anyway, it was a movie about America getting attacked by its enemies, and it was kind of a Hollywood salary movie and a little bit of Hollywood complaining about government. You know, it was one of those things. But Mahershala was in that movie, and he was all right. He looks good. He looks good. So because he is getting older. But mainly I put this in here because Reynolds calling for Wesley Snipes, and I know Disney hates Ryan. I know they hate him, right? The executives, because he doesn't do what he's told to do, and he has the power to push beyond it. And but Ryan's right. Why don't we
Yeah.
have Wesley Snipes in a movie? I
Why
mean,
not?
why not? It's his franchise. Give him a good send off. Logan style would be freaking epic, dude. Logan was a really good movie. That was a really good
Yep.
movie. Yeah,
Hell, you could even have Mr. Ali be a clone, like some sort of clone or something of Wesley's Blade. Or there's a lot of different ways you could pull it off and just introduce
sure.
use him as a vehicle to introduce the new guy, Blade.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, absolutely.
I don't know if Wesley would want to do that because obviously, just say no to that if he wanted to. But I think he should. I think it's a good idea, and I think Mr. Ali has put in his time and he's been patient, and he should get his movie
He
because the
should.
first time I saw this guy, I said, "Oh, he should be Blade. What are we
Yeah.
doing? What are we
Yeah, yeah.
talking about right now?"
Nah, I like the idea a lot myself, but he can't get past the idiots at Disney, unfortunately.
Because they keep
Um,
wanting to cuck Blade, and that
yeah,
like what he is. If any character in Marvel is uncuckable, it's that motherfucker. Like
no,
he might
that's
be the
true.
least simping character you could possibly have,
Yeah, look at
and
that
yet,
dude. Look at that.
ah,
Yeah, I'm all for that. But I don't know we'll ever see this happen. Although Ryan, even though they hate him and he won't do what they tell him to do, right? He won't
well, he's
play their
smarter than
woke
them.
nonsense.
Yeah,
He's a moneymaker.
yeah.
He just brought in over
He's
$1
he.
billion. You realize that his movie has surpassed everything but Avengers so far?
Yes. Well, understand something about Mr. Reynolds. He might actually be, unironically, the greatest living marketer there is. He might be because
He's
this
done a
man's
good
a
job with
billionaire.
Deadpool. Yeah.
I want you to understand. Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's not just some actor who just happens to be funny and charming. He's literally a billionaire because he understood that he is incredibly gifted at talking. He has incredible charisma. He's a great orator. People listen to him, so he can get attention. And
Yeah.
he took that, used some of his Hollywood money, bought into a bunch of companies, and then promoted the shit out of them on his social media until they were worth enough that big companies came and knock him.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
And now he's a billionaire.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah,
there you go.
and the thing with it is well is we talked about it a little bit last week, right? But
Yep.
he, this was 4 months ago, 3 months ago, that he and Hugh went on a marketing tour, right?
Yep.
They went on every damn show they could get on. We even saw them on Hot Ones,
Yep. It was
right?
hilarious.
And it was
I watched it.
hilarious. They went around and what did they do? Hey, we love this movie. Thank you for all the attention it's gotten, et cetera, et cetera. Very magnanimous, very polite, as you should be, right? And
Right.
they were everywhere promoting this. And we see a lot of these other movies. Where do these people go and promote? They do interviews with E Online or other agencies that are going to be very softball with them, right? You
Right.
don't see them going out in the public like Hugh and Ryan were doing. You don't see them doing
Yeah.
that because they're too
Yeah.
good for you, you filthy thing, right? And
Correct.
that's their attitude. But Hugh and Ryan, they want success with their movie and they want you to love it, right?
Well, they're also very old school. Like the last generation of genuinely old school Hollywood was theirs, where lights just flickered like crazy. Where you had to, work for it, and that's what they're willing to do. They're willing to put in the insane hours it takes to get something over the
Oh
finish
yeah,
line.
especially Hugh.
And yeah, and well, yeah, I'd say Ryan too. I mean, think about it. He spent a decade just trying to get the first Deadpool movie made.
True,
Just get it made, get it to the
that's true.
theaters, and it made a ton of money. It worked.
Yeah.
Um, these guys are an interesting bunch,
Mhm.
and we don't have a lot of them. Marvel brought them in, Disney brought them in, and lo and behold, these people who don't need them, by the way, they're both financially doing all right, aren't going to listen to their retardedness. They're just not going to do it. They don't need to. Disney needs them. They don't need Disney. This was the problem that Mr. Hamill walked into and fell into is he needed Disney because he needed some money. He doesn't have Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman money thanks to George Lucas largely, but still uh so he needed their big paycheck. He couldn't risk pissing them off. Ryan and Hugh, they piss him off. So what? There's nothing Disney could do to either of them to actually hurt them,
No,
like in the
they've
public
tried.
eye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
there's nothing
failed.
they could
Yeah,
do.
yeah, no,
So they can just do what they want. And luckily for them, they're not. What they want is good for Disney,
yeah.
but because Disney is such psychotic lefty control freaks, they can't have it. You will bend the knee or else, and they're just like,
Mm.
no, no, thanks. We don't.
The
Can we
funny
just make
thing
movies, please?
with the Hot Ones video, which is they're eating hot wings, right? If you haven't seen that special.
Yep.
And Now I use a hot sauce that is around 60,000 Scovilles myself. Now that's way beyond the ken for the average person, but that's what I use. But
Right.
that's like halfway through the challenge.
Yep.
They get up to like multiple million Scovilles at the end of that, right? And I've never even
Right.
tried something at that level. And I have to say, Hugh handled it way better than Ryan did. I didn't expect that because, Hugh kind of comes off as a little bit of a sensitive boy, right?
Right.
But now he handled it better. Ryan couldn't even talk at the end. He couldn't even communicate, and Hugh was able to push through it and speak. It was funny. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
It's guys with effortless charisma, who are clearly just very affable people
yeah.
who I think anybody could get, even if you disagree with them, which obviously you're gonna. I think anybody could get along with them. They don't seem to be,
No, they seem down
mean
to earth
spirited.
people for the most
Yeah,
part. Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
dudes, just a
and
couple of dudes.
and a lot of times you can see the personality of a person. Sometimes they hide it well, but
Yeah,
usually you can see it. Like with Kamala Harris, right? A lot of because she decided to put herself out in the limelight because everyone was like, "All right, they picked her for vice president. It's obvious she's easy to control," and that was about all the interest people really had in Kamala, right?
right.
Because she's a failure in everything she's ever done, right? But now that you decide to put yourself in the limelight, well, people are going to start looking closely, right? As well with her vice president pick. Boy, what a winner she picked there. Goodness
Oh yeah.
gracious. But now is anybody surprised that details are coming out that she's absolutely insufferable to work for? She screams and cusses constantly, and she's always got a freaking alcohol in her hand. Does this surprise anybody? No, because that's exactly what she looks like. A nasty, bitchy wine mom who doesn't have
Yeah,
kids, right? That's
yeah.
what she looks like. But Hugh and Ryan, they at least afford themselves this kind of down to earth guys that you can have a beer with. Now, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
who knows, right? I think Hugh is that. Ryan maybe could be a little bit of a prima donna, maybe. But they don't present themselves that way at all. They don't seem that way, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this freaking nightmare thing. But I did put this in here because Ryan is pushing, and I know Disney can't stand him, but I mean, can they afford not to listen to him? I don't know.
Apparently they can, at least in their own mind. But the reality is, and I mentioned this when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, the last two genuinely successful films they've put out were led by white guys, and they don't like that. They don't like, because
No,
if
they
you
clearly
remember, the
don't.
media especially were talking about how they're pale and stale, right? Having
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these
It's
all
very
these movies are
racist
pale and
comments. Very
stale, blah blah blah
racist.
blah blah. Well, they clearly don't like that. So you would think, right? The next logical conclusion would be to, okay, well, we got Blade. Everybody kind of likes Blade. Blade's kind of cool. Why don't we just make something cool with Blade? Yeah, but we need chicks in it. Why?
Why?
Because diversity. But it's about a black vampire. Like,
Hunter,
what
yeah.
are we talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty
Yeah.
diverse. It's pretty diverse already, guys. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how much diversity do you
Well,
need?
because they want
And
to
Blade
follow the comics, and the comics has replaced Blade with his daughter.
and Blade is one of those ones where you can have a white guy be the bad guy and it makes sense. It's
It
fine.
can be, yeah, sure.
Just yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to just shoehorn in a random character and make him the bad guy out of nowhere for some
Yeah,
reason.
and of course, keep in mind,
You don't have
current
to do that.
Marvel has brought Dracula back.
Yeah, give me some of that. Give me a good Blade versus Dracula. I'd take that.
Yeah,
Uh, my point is, you would think Blade would be an easy win for them. It's one they haven't done, when they couldn't do. They could do it now, and lo and behold, there's nothing but problems because they keep tripping over their own dick, and also because deep down, all of these people hate black people. They hate them.
yeah, they
They don't
hate
like
in
them.
general. They're just
Yeah,
hateful.
they're
Yeah,
just
that's
hateful
true.
people,
Yeah, but
and it should be easy. And they, what they hate more than anything is the reality, which of course they're not going to admit. But the reality is that white guys draw, for
yeah,
whatever reason, all over the world. White men specifically draw better than everybody else when it comes to movies and entertainment and things.
Well,
You don't have to like that fact, but it's the truth.
there is an anthropological answer to that that I've
Yeah.
said several times here, but I will reiterate. I don't, I can make speculation, but I won't.
Yep.
But the simple fact of the matter is, every single culture and race on this planet always wants to elevate itself to be more white. They look up to the whiteness. Every single culture on this planet. Now, you could say that was because of colonialism. I suppose there might be some truth to that, but I think it's much older and deeper than that.
Yep.
But it is true. Even over here in Asia, they go to China, right? Because the Japanese are basically Western, right? But you go to China, who are always on about how much they hate Western things and Western people, even though they're running their country under a Western Jewish ideal, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, the women there desperate to make themselves as white as possible.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's got nothing to do with white people, to be honest, because I genuinely don't even think it's
I think it's
colonialism that did it.
it's
I
historical. Yeah,
There's something deep in our psyche, like kind of like the long-haired warrior situation.
yeah.
Something deep in our psyche that tells us this is what we like, and this is it
Well,
displays itself in our preference.
if you
Uh,
go and you find all the ancient, and I mean ancient, if you go and look
yeah,
for the ancient description of the gods in every culture on this planet, they were tall, white, blue-eyed, and blonde-haired. And they
yes,
had working for them, their angels were tall, often blue or green-eyed, with red hair,
yeah,
white people. So all the gods of every person on this planet, ancestrally, are white people. And why is that? Is that some ancient thing built into the human psyche, or is there a bit of history here we don't have written down that of some white group just dominating the planet long, long, long ago? Right?
well, Chester, you probably have a little bit more insight on this than other people, I would assume.
I do.
So,
Yeah.
did you see the stuff that came out about the Shroud of Turin this last week?
Uh,
About how apparently it has been confirmed through some sort of testing to be 2,000 years old, right around the time of Jesus' alleged situation.
right.
And then after that news came out, they took the imagery of it and high res images of it and ran it through an AI, and it created a composite image of what that person would look like.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, he's about as white as you can get. Pretty much a white man. Looks like he came right out of Germany. To be honest with you,
Well, I mean,
not with not so much the blonde hair, but the rest of the features are is Highland white as you could get.
right.
Uh, and there's some rationale behind why that's possible, especially considering the Mediterranean used to be pretty much all white or very close to it
Right, right, very
for a
much
very,
so.
very long
Yeah.
time. But my point is, it's even there that it comes
Well,
out. Even in
sure.
the AIs are like, oh, well, that's a white guy, so
Well,
pop white guy.
yeah, but it shouldn't surprise you. The Mediterranean is a European history. It's a European
Yes,
affair. And why
yes,
this surprises people, I don't understand.
I because
If
they're
you went
dumb.
to Southeast Asia and found a bunch of white people in tombs, and maybe you could say, "Oh, that's surprising."
What are
But
they doing there?
the Mediterranean is 100% a European affair.
Yeah,
It just is. It's literally in their region, right? But anyway, well,
yes.
let's stop the speculations and move on to something maybe fun.
Prime Video unveils secret level premiere date and teaser for new adult animated series. I've never even heard of this. What is this? What do we
No,
have?
I thought it was interesting. Now you know how they have love something in robots. What is it called? They say it here. You know that series that came out? It's like a sci-fi thing. Love, Death, and Robots. Um,
Oh,
now it's an anthology series. I watched season one of it. I think it was on Netflix. And it was fine. The second one got wicked woke. Boy, did it go woke. Uh, but nevertheless, it is beautifully done. Same people are behind this, which worries the hell out of me. However, what they've
Hmm.
decided to do, and this is with Prime, of course, Amazon, they've decided to do the same thing as Love, Death, and Robots, just a whole bunch of little anthology stories, right? They're not connected per se, but
Right.
with video games. And it's not a bad idea. Let's take a look at the list here of things that are in the series. So 15 games are being, they've made basically little stories for the video games, little anthology blips, right? Little short videos. So we got Armored Core. I like that game. You ever play that game?
Yes.
Yeah, I liked Armored Core. Concord, never heard of it. Crossfire, I've heard of it, never played it. Dungeons and Dragons. Interesting. Exodus, heard of it, never played it. Honor of Kings, never played it. Mega Man, my son loves it. New World, which was kind of a failure. Pac Man, what the hell they got to do with that? PlayStation in general, Sifu, never heard of it. Spelunky, never heard of it. The Outer Worlds, of course, is a great a game
Ooh, look at
made by
these
the
next
people
two.
who did Fallout, Unreal Tournament, and Warhammer 40K. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an anthology series, animated anthology series that is looking at video games. It's not a bad idea.
So Warhammer 40K, I mean, there's a lot of different Warhammer 40K video games, and by different,
There
I
are.
mean completely different, totally different genres.
Yeah.
In fact, that'll be interesting. The other one that was down there that's very, very interesting is Unreal Tournament.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but it's a shame that we haven't had a new Unreal Tournament because Unreal Tournament was the shit back in the day.
It
It was
was.
real
Yeah.
good, super fun. And you would think with the success of Fortnite and things that Epic would want to put out a they could do basically what they do with Fortnite but with Unreal. Like you could easily do that. But a little bit more mature oriented version of it. But they just haven't desired to. They would instead make game engines in
Yeah.
Unreal or in Fortnite.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I don't know what you're going to make a show about
Well,
that
it's not.
because
It's an anthology, right? It's like Del Toro came out with a cabinet of curiosity, and came out with a whole bunch of little horror short movies, half of which were great. This has 15, and they're showing you one of each in each of these three panels here. Of course, Pac-Man. I don't know how you're going to do that, but it could be interesting. But here's another four. Here's another five. Of course, Warhammer being right there. And of course, here's the last. So there's 15 in total. It's animated. It could be a lot of fun. It could be fun. Like I said, Love, Death, and Robots. I watched season one, loved it. Season two, boy, it got woke, dude. It got super woke. And it's the same team, so I don't have a lot of faith for this not being super woke. However, it is interesting, and it's called Secret Level, which is perfect for video games. But I just saw this and was like, maybe. And this little thing caught my eye as well. On December 10th this year, it will be available to viewers in over 240 countries and territories. That's the planet. Now, you hear a lot of times
yeah,
worldwide release, but usually that's involving about 150 countries and territories. And that's at the high end, 150. Because there are plenty of countries that just don't involve with it because for money reasons. But this is a streaming thing. 240 countries and territories. Dude, that's the planet. I mean, I mean, I'm sure North Korea's not part of that, but boy, that's a lot of places, dude. That's a lot. You understand what I
yeah,
mean?
that's basically everywhere. Um, so if it fails, we will once again be able to say, "Told you, you're a hyper minority of people. The rest of the world doesn't." Sorry, hey,
Yeah.
deal with that how you will. But the reality is, all these weirdo lefty racial racist psychopaths, these woke tards as we call them, are a hyper minority of people in the world. They've weaseled themselves into positions of influence, sure, making people think they're far more influential than they are,
Mhm.
but they are not. The rest of the world doesn't just dislike them or disagree with them. A lot of them despise these. They
Well,
hate people.
America is the great white devil, is it not?
Yes.
But I thought we would take a moment here and see if we can figure out which is which. Pac-Man is easy. Dungeons and Dragons, I would say, is easy. It's got to be this one, right?
Yep.
And of course, Warhammer, easy. I mean, but I'm kind of curious. Which? Let's look for Mega Man here. Which one do you think Mega Man is?
Oh. Oof. I don't even know. Maybe, hopefully, not even. Oh wait, go back down real quick.
Maybe this one
Maybe,
over
maybe
here,
the
but it's got
yeah,
hair.
maybe the one on the end could be. That's the only one I could
Maybe,
think.
but he's got the hair coming down. I don't know
Go
that.
back up to the top there. Yeah, it'd have to be that one.
Maybe this one here. Yeah, yeah. You never know these people because this is going to be woke. Let's see if we can try to figure out Armored Core. It's probably this one here in the middle, maybe.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Um, I don't know Concord Crossfire. I've heard of.
I can't believe they're actually gonna do this Concord game is an utter complete failure. Failure. It is,
Yeah.
and under all metrics, it has failed miserably. Lost Sony millions of dollars, probably hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh wow.
So the fact that they're even going to shove it into this is hilarious.
Well, that's it. Also, is we have gaming, and there are thousands of video games, right, over the
Yes,
decades. Why were these core chosen? Now, if this is successful, they can do season after season, right? Because there's so many video games. But why,
right.
for your premiere, did you choose this? Armored Core, big success. D&D, everyone knows it. Honor of Kings, a fighting game. That is, but why not Street Fighter? Pac-Man, of course, and Mega Man Epic. New World is not gone over very well. PlayStation in general, I guess. Outer Worlds, this is a nice one because these are the guys who did the original Fallout stuff, Fallout Las Vegas, and they just did their own thing because Bethesda's are idiots. Unreal Tournament, very popular. Warhammer, very popular, but more than half of this list, most people have never heard of it, dude.
Correct.
It's a weird choice of selection. But that doesn't mean anything, I suppose. But I saw this and I was like, this could be fun. Should dare I watch the trailer?
Oh, boy, let's see it.
It's not letting me. Okay, let me. I can go find it though. Secret level here. Yeah, let me just grab this real quick. Here we go. All right. Let me fix that volume. Sorry about that, everybody's ears. If you're wearing headphones, like I am.
It's
Still,
time.
still pretty loud here. Bring it down some.
This world has waited for
All
your
right.
arrival.
That looks like Fable. We didn't see that listed. Certainly diverse, which isn't a
It
problem
is
per
you.
se.
You will open the door
Oh, I will. I'm opening doors.
because you are
There's
the
Mega Man.
chosen.
That's definitely Warhammer.
All those moments.
Yes. Dragons. Nice.
It's a new adventure.
Yeah. Mega Man. I don't recognize. Oh, God of War. That might be in the
Just
PlayStation part.
for you.
That looks like Keanu Reeves. Yeah, you're right. That was Mega Man. That was him grabbing his helmet.
Yep.
It's weird what we can recognize and not recognize, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious what they're going to do for Pac-Man. And I haven't even seen Pac-Man yet. It's going to be at the end, I'm
Come
sure.
in. You have a game to
Waka
play.
waka. No Pac-Man, really? You're not go. Oh, right here.
There he is.
Yeah,
Oh, it's going to be some kind of drone situation.
yeah. Well, do you know what Pac-Man means in Japanese?
I don't.
Paku paku is the sound of the mouth opening and closing, like someone eating too loudly, right? With their mouth open. This paku paku, right?
Yep.
So Pakuman. So a man with the sound of the mouth opening and closing, which is perfect for Pac-Man, of course. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know how you adapt it, but you're right. It's going to be some kind of drone murdering things. They're going to make it super dark. It's like when Winnie the Pooh came out in public, the arena. Now anybody can use it. Immediately, everyone went super dark with it, even though Winnie the Pooh is not a very smart bear, but
It's
he's
true.
a very good bear. You know, people
He's
are
a good
weird.
boy. He's a good boy at
He is a
heart.
good boy. He is a good boy. But I don't know. I don't know. I saw this and I was like, maybe, maybe.
Could be
It
fun, but
it
I
could
have a
be.
sneaking suspicion it's going to be miserable.
Well, like I said, the second season of Love, Death, and Robots was pretty awful, unfortunately. It was beautiful, but it was really woke. It just preaching to you, preaching. And it's like,
Yeah.
stop it. We don't, where this entertainment is a time to unwind your mind and just relax and enjoy. We don't
Well, that's the
need to be
problem.
educated.
That's the problem. These people are incapable of that because
Sorry, Alan. Yeah, I got
they're
myself
evil
too.
people, Chester. They're evil people
They
at
are.
heart. It's why they make villains in their shit that are way better than, oftentimes better than
Yeah,
the
they're the
hero.
good guy. They're the misunderstood
Yeah,
hero. Yeah.
yeah. Because that's what they are. That's what they see themselves as. And just like there's a famous little a little joke slash kind of a truth that every story is the writer's barely disguised fetish.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's actually kind of true. This is what, and the fetish doesn't necessarily mean sexual, but this is what this person wants the world to look like
Yeah.
or to be,
No,
or
it's
in
very
some way
true.
or another.
It's
Yeah.
very true.
So
Yeah.
that's what these people do. They write these characters to be effectively themselves. I don't know if they do it consciously or subconsciously. Some of them probably do it consciously, and they don't even understand. And then they get all weirded out when people uh, side with the villain. Like the best example recently is the Barbie movie. Ken was supposed to be the bad guy of that,
Right.
but everybody besides normie women who watched it was like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ken's got a point here. He did
He does have a
nothing he
point.
said was wrong.
I'm going to grab some coffee. I'll be back in a minute.
But yeah, this secret level, this is kind of the problem with things like the Mario movie being very successful and the Sonic movie especially being very very successful. And it was kind of the thing I was worried about. I think we even mentioned on is they were going to, and they have learned the wrong lessons. The reason why Sonic was successful is because one, they listened to the fans. Fans appreciated that. And two, it was just a fun little movie. It wasn't trying to do this thing or that thing other than give you an interesting adaptation of Sonic on the big screen. And for the most part, it succeeded. The second one is the same. And obviously, the Mario movie, and for my money, is the best video game movie probably ever made, is the Super Mario Brothers movie. And again, same thing. It wasn't trying to do anything dramatic or crazy or whatever. It was just trying to take, the world of Mario and put it on the big screen honestly and sincerely, and it worked. And the problem that we'll have, this is the word everybody needs to hold on to. These people are not sincere. They aren't sincerely going to try and celebrate video games. They're going to try and inject bullshit into places it doesn't belong. They're going to try and inject their policy ideas or their ideology ideas or what have you into a place it doesn't belong, doesn't fit, and no one really asked for it. And that is what they've been doing in video games, movies, TV shows, everything. We've all seen it. We've all lived through it. We've all experienced it. It's one of the reasons this channel exists. Uh, and they're just going to do the same thing here. And that's a shame because I do push back a lot on people saying things like video games are art. No, they're not. They're artwork. There can be art within them. And if done very, very well, they can become a piece of art. A video game can. Like, for instance, I would say Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely a work of art. But not all of them are. In fact, I would say the vast majority of them are not. They are just products. No real different than just about anything else. And the reality is these people don't really care if they corrupt this product at all. As long as they can continue to push their nonsense, they'll be happy. That's really where we're at now. So hopefully this show is decent and does respect the source material, but wouldn't be surprised if it did not, especially considering it's on Amazon, and Amazon has a unfortunate track record of being incapable of removing themselves from the nonsense and removing the nonsense from their stuff. That's pretty much where we're at now. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any better anytime soon with Amazon because they have so much money. Sorry about that. The other issue that we have here is a lot of these particular franchises they've chosen are terrible picks for most gamers. Like if you're trying to do something that celebrates gaming, why would you pick so many things that nobody's ever really cared about, heard of, or played? That, like I said, that Concord game is one of the biggest flops I've ever seen in gaming history. It's not doing well at all. It's doing very terribly, and I can't imagine a bunch of people aren't going to lose their jobs over it. Um, so why include it? The only reason you would include it is because the reason it's doing terribly is it's woke as shit. Nobody wants to play it. Um, and lo and behold, so no one's played it, not really buying it, and here we are. Now you're going to put it in this huge budget. Who knows? They probably spent 200 million on this. Knowing Amazon, they blow through money like nobody's business. So let's say you spend 200 million on this damn nonsense, and you pick a game that literally nobody's playing or wants or bought or anything. That doesn't even make any sense. And then there's a few other games which I'm not looking at the list, but I know there was a few other games on there that weren't really popular. Uh, Again, if you're trying to celebrate video games and video game culture and gaming and gamers in general, why would you pick games, universes, whatever you want to call it, that nobody gives a shit about? Why would you do that? The only reason you would do that is because they have the right message. They didn't go out of their way to include, oh, I don't know, the one of the biggest games of the year, probably the biggest launch title of all time with Black Myth Wukong. They didn't include game science into this. They're not going to either. Now, granted, yes, that just came out, and this obviously has been in the making for a while. But my point stands. They're not going to pick something that isn't on message or that they can corrupt or twist into putting on message. They're going to pick things that they know they can inject their nonsense in, or it already has it injected into. And it's a real the worst thing about it is it's not a sincere attempt to represent gaming in any way, and it's not a sincere attempt to create good entertainment. Like Chester was saying before he left, entertainment is supposed to be the escape. These people don't want to escape. They want to dominate. And they want to dominate everything. They want to dominate your thoughts. They want to dominate what you are allowed to consume, literally and figuratively, and even virtually. They want full totalitarian, that's why the term exists, control over your life. And this is one way that they get it. They do it through propaganda. So that's why these particular games have been chosen by Amazon Studios and the people making this, because they know either one, there won't be pushback from the audience or the studio that made them, or two, they're already in line with what they want. So that's why these have been chosen. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a whole lot of bullshit in these. I wouldn't be surprised if this one doesn't come right out of the gate woke, if I'm being honest. Because Concord being on there instills zero confidence in their
Yeah,
motivations.
New World as well.
Yeah,
But
that's super
yeah,
woke.
but some of the chat comments I do find funny though. Mega Man is probably going to be a chick. It's probably going to be Mega Man, Mega Mam. To be fair, they never showed us the front of him, did they?
Yep.
So no Dust Man. Uh, my freaking ear. Apologize. I got myself. English or Waka Waka. Let's see. Hey, my book is about pigs. Okay, Alan says. Sonic A, Mario B plus. I love Pratt, but he was wrong for the role. The bros are treated like teens, but have full stacks, whatever that means. Weird. And Luigi doesn't do enough. P.S. End credits was just a Yoshi tease. Uh, Whatever all that meant. I read it out loud though. Okay. Um, but yeah,
No,
no.
I disagree. I think Pratt was perfect. I think he killed it. He was wonderful as Mario. They should have probably just used the guy who's been Mario since forever. I agree,
Yeah, then why
but
not?
I think Pratt killed it. I think he
Yeah, I thought it
absolutely
was
murdered
fine.
that role. Yeah,
And it was a good family kid. It's a kids family movie though, but it was fine. It was something the kids had a good time with, and it made money because it was what the kids wanted. It was just entertainment.
yep.
Um, but this nonsense could be good or not.
Well, that's what I was talking about. I said I think Hollywood has learned the wrong lesson from the Mario movie and the Sonic movies, and that's why you're getting this kind of stuff
Sure,
because they think now that if they just make something that looks right, right? If they nail the appearance of it, people will just swallow anything,
right.
and they're in for a rude
Oh,
awakening.
it looks beautiful, that's for sure.
Yep.
Um, but the I said nonsense, and I mean that. I want it to be nonsense. Just good, dumb fun, please. Please. Stop trying to educate me on your current pet project or desire, because that's what they're always trying to do is educate you. They're lecturing
Yeah.
and educating you because you're a dumbass that needs to be taught what's right and wrong. And it's like, well, there's a time and place for that, I suppose, but it's not in my entertainment. I want just dumb nonsense, please. And Mario was just dumb nonsense.
It's one of the main reasons why. It also had some heart in there. I think the relationship between Mario and Luigi. I think the reason that movie works is they nailed the brotherhood between those two.
Maybe. Yeah.
But also back to the dumb nonsense. I would say that's one of the main reasons Deadpool and Wolverine was successful is because that's what it is.
It's nonsense.
It's
Yeah.
just nonsense. It's just a movie. It doesn't need to be anything else. We don't need moral messages beyond basic black and white, normalcy. We don't need you to preach to us. We don't need your identity politics. We don't need any of that shit. Just make a movie.
Yeah. And the people who do are making money and having
Yep.
success. And it's that simple. And Alan is backtracking here. He says, "Note, I did think Mario Brothers was the best movie of the year." All right, okay.
I mean, it
Um,
was up there. It
it was
was on that
certainly.
list.
I saw my wife and I watched it. It's a kids movie though, as it should be.
Yep.
But it's 100% a kid. So for an adult, there's only so far you can like it, really. But we appreciated its purity. Anyway,
Yep.
I don't know. We'll have to see when this comes out. The idea of it's great. There are so many fun video games that will never get a full length movie. They'll never get any kind of adaptation ever, right? But having an anthology series that just takes some of your favorite video games from over the decades and does a little short story on it sounds great. It sounds like exactly what we want. Unfortunately, the people behind it cannot be trusted, unfortunately. Now we know with Amazon, we've seen from Amazon, they're quite willing to let the team do what they do, right? Because we get woke shit from Amazon and we get not woke shit from Amazon. So
Right.
we know that Amazon and Bezos is willing to let the team do their thing. So that's good. And it's not like Disney. Everything has to have the DEI in it, and Bezos doesn't have that policy. So who
Yep.
knows? But if they just had fun with it, we'll have fun with it. So we'll see. We'll see. This is good news, and well, it's a little bit of post-dated news, but it's confirmation, is what it is. Let's take a look.
Exclusive. Mr. Cohen, Taika Waititi stars Star Wars is not happening. He has been booted from Thor. Thank
No,
God. Can
thank
we
God.
boot
Yeah,
him off of Earth, please? Just
everything.
send him to the moon.
Well, no.
Just right to the moon. Let him be up there. He
When
can't
it's
do
a
any damage up there.
when it's a quirky little indie thing, he's fine, right?
Eh,
Now
he is,
he.
but I'm done with him. I'm done with
I
him. I don't
understand
want to
you're
see
upset with.
anything.
Well, this
I
guy
don't want
is
to see
the
anything to
epitome of
do with
woke.
him ever again.
Well, the thing
He's disgusting to me.
I agree, and this guy, who is he to talk? Because it's quite clear he's willing to fuck anything that moves around him, right?
Yep.
Married or not married, this guy is that guy. This is that guy, right? And we know we hate that guy. We all hate that guy, right? Because we
Yep.
can't trust our wives around him. Of course, then again, I guess you should trust your wife. But you know what I mean. That so from him and sit there and make any to take any stance, morality stance, fuck right off, David. But beyond that, the interesting thing about this article, and I actually think you might enjoy reading this, is because he was kicked off of Thor: Love and Thunder. We didn't know that. He's not doing any more further. It sounds like he's not doing anything with Disney. It's probably because his extramarital affairs and nonsense is probably getting a little bit too big for Disney to cover up. Because this guy is an absolute whore, right? He fucks everything. He's real bad about it. But nevertheless, I didn't know that he actually didn't even finish Thor and Love and Thunder. They kicked him off the project and finished it without him. I didn't
Good.
know that.
Good.
Yeah,
Get
good.
him out of
Well,
here.
he's insufferable. We know
Even
this.
even Hemsworth was tired of his shit by the end. He's like, no, I don't want.
Well, I think Chris was
He
tired of the
very
whole damn thing, but yeah.
very nicely, Mr. Hemsworth basically said, I don't want anything to do with that guy. I don't want anything to do with anything he's working on. Uh, I'm good. And good. Everybody should be. This guy's a hack. He's ashamed of his own Jewish heritage so much that he took on an ethnic name to try and convince people in
Which
Hollywood to give him stuff to do.
Jewish is ethnic, but yeah, I get your point.
Yeah. Now apparently to Hollywood Jews because they're constantly changing their names. Uh, it's he's just a gross person. Like
He is gross. He is gross.
just this term there's this new one that the Womans use. It's called the ick. Taika gives me the ick. He
Yeah,
makes my skin crawl.
I prefer the Muslim but
Yeah, no, he's a gross person. I'm glad that Hemsworth spoke out about how silly it got and how he doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to do Thor properly, which hopefully that's what happens. Because this gentleman here, yeah, okay, a lot of people like Ragnarok. I even like Ragnarok, but I think it's because he had a very tight leash on him. And
I didn't care for it at all.
even that movie had at least 20% too much yucks in it. I'm trying to say
It was
too many
dumb.
jokes.
Yeah, it was. I didn't
Yep,
like it at
too
all.
much.
And but I seem to be in the minority. But yeah, and it's also the onset antics that Chris didn't really get into that other people have, and photos have leaked out. Because this guy's girlfriend slash wife, whatever she is, her, and the I don't know, is she black? She looks mulatto to me. The girl who played Valkyrie are having their little threesomes, and they were just this annoying eyesore throughout the entire shoots of the movies that he was involved with. These guys running around doing their antics. I don't
Yep.
know what this dude's got something though, because the women like him. Maybe he's hung like a horse. I don't know. But the women, he pulls ladies like crazy. And I don't think it's just fame and money. There's something about this guy that the women, those type of women, like.
Well,
But
Eve also liked Satan, so there's that.
that is true. That is true. She was smitten.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's good that he's out on everything. Go back to doing what you do well, actually. But more important than all that nonsense, of course, this is just pure nonsense. Pure nonsense. This Lady Thor
Yep.
crap. But like I said, I didn't know he didn't finish this movie, dude. And they in their research, they couldn't find. They didn't pull another director in. Disney just did it in house, finished shooting the movie, and then the entire editing was done without him. And they ran into a lot of trouble because the movie, because when he was shooting the movie, he cared not one iota about continuity. And they had a
Right.
lot of problems stitching this movie together because they didn't have the things they needed, so they had to do reshoots, which he wasn't involved with, right? So as hot a mess as that movie Love and Thunder was, because it was a hot mess, everyone complained about it. It didn't make sense. It was convoluted. There were many complaints about it, right?
Right.
Christian Bale's the only one that got a little glow off of it, right? And even then, that was mixed. But it was because this asshole was just doing whatever the hell he wanted, didn't care anything about storytelling in the least.
Right.
Unbelievable. And if you watch the things he's good at, like What We Do in the Dark, that is not a story anyway. I mean, there's a kind of story there, but it's just little yuck skits here or there. It's what it is, and he does
Right.
that pretty well. It's he's not a storyteller. And if you look at Ragnarok, which he shouldn't have been given such a big project, it's just little skits of yuck here or there. It's
Well,
nonsense.
Ragnarok is such a like. I get why they did it. They were obviously the oh, what's their name? The boys who made the Infinity War. Can't remember, the Russo brothers.
Yeah,
They
Russo brothers.
obviously said, "Hey, we need Thor to be in a bad place, right? Like he needs to have lost basically everything heading into our movie." That was their
Maybe,
plan.
yeah.
And so so they're like, "All right, let's do Ragnarok then, right? Let's do the whole deal, get rid of Asgard, kill his dad." Okay. And then they said, "But you know what? We need to add in more levity. So let's give it to Taika and let him make it funny." And
Yeah.
fair enough, some of the jokes are fine. They get a chuckle. Uh, the problem is it's Ragnarok. This should have been the story for Thor. This
It
should
should
have
have
been
been
it.
serious. Yeah.
It should
Um,
have been the best shit you've ever seen about Thor. With Marvel's budget, we could have got a full-on Ragnarok, bro. With Marvel's, bro,
yeah, but the best
bro.
Thor movie is Infinity War. Let's be
Yes,
honest.
it's
Um,
not even close.
it's not even
It's not even
close.
close.
But keep in mind, during the Ragnarok, the villain of the movie is praised throughout it, and in the
That's
end,
right.
given control over the Asgardians, the villain, and it's because he's sleeping with her, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it explains everything now. I get it now, right? Because I was like,
Boy,
what
did
the
she
hell are you doing?
disappear
She's
too.
the bad guy. How many people has she sent to their death? I mean,
She
what?
apparently ran out of directors and producers to screw because I haven't seen her in anything.
Yeah, well, because she's not that impressive. Just another
Not at
angry
all.
woman, right?
And it's just, man, that's the biggest fumble about Ragnarok is they wasted the Ragnarok storyline
Oh, yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
That could have been a multi-movie arc for Thor. That could have been its whole own deal just for Thor.
Yeah.
And you could have had other people bounce in and out if you wanted to, right? Whatever. But that should have been, if you were ever going to retire Hemsworth like they did, Chris Pine and what's his name, Robert Downey Jr. That should have been the story to do it. It's literally the one where he's supposed to die at the end.
Right.
So they just such a
Yeah.
waste, such
It
a
was.
waste. That's been Marvel's biggest problem is they have certain things that they've just simply wasted, and that was one of them.
Oh, so,
Ragnarok, big deal.
this is something we don't even get to talking about because there's so much else to bitch about.
Yep.
But it is a very good point because one more. First of all, why was Hella even in that movie, right?
Don't know.
But there were many other things that they threw away in that movie. One of the things that really pissed me off was in regards to the Warriors 3, right?
Yep.
And you know they didn't get the love they deserved anyway throughout it. But
Nope.
he just unceremoniously and in a I think he just thought it was funny to kill them off as if they were nothing, right?
Right.
Not
As if
showing
they're
any
not.
respect to the comic books whatsoever. This is a comic
Right.
book Thor, right? It's a
Yes.
comic book Thor, but Fandral, Hogan, and Volstagg got zero respect, zero. And keep in mind, those guys were in Thor comics from Journey into Mystery going back to 1965, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Right? These are
Yep.
original characters of our boy and our boys, really, but Jack Kirby as well, legend. Right? Um,
That's what it should have been, bro. It could have been one of the best stories. The whole Thor saga was kind of about this, but because men bad, we couldn't really focus on it. That should have been the place where Marvel gets to do themes about brotherhood more
yeah,
than anywhere else. And you have the Warriors 3 being the good brothers, good, quote unquote, and you have Loki being the bad brother. And you could, and the first movie does play with that a little bit, but it bitches out on it, right? But the rest of the Thor movies bitch out on it going forward. The Warriors 3 especially is a massive L, huge L for Marvel. The fact
Yeah.
that they fumbled them so bad, the fact that they fumbled Heimdall so bad, the
Oh
fact
yeah.
that they fumbled Sif so bad, like so much of Thor's mythos in Marvel alone was just wasted. It was
Yeah.
wasted,
That
is what it
girl,
was.
the girl who played Sif, she must have pissed somebody off. Because
Oh,
we
for
should
sure.
have seen a lot more of her. We should have seen a lot
Yeah,
more Sif. That girl was perfect as it. And when we did
they
see
could
her
have had.
again, it was girl power nonsense against Loki, right?
Yes, they could have had. Which Sif beating up Loki, I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
But
it's
they
still
could have
dumb,
had.
dude.
They could have easily had their love triangle, their soap opera bullshit. They could have did it.
They
They
could have done
had
that.
Sif
Yeah.
and they had what's her nuts. You could have did it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
nope, nope, not
But
allowed,
in
not
in
allowed.
in all reality, Loki would hand Sif her freaking lunch, dude.
Yes,
Right? I'm talking
but it's
once
still
again,
pretty fun to watch.
comic book Loki, right? Now,
Yes,
I understand the mythological Loki is beyond even Thor. I get this. But we're
right.
talking about the comic books here. And another thing that because you had this asshole, David Cohen, running things after the fact, we got the Warriors 3 introduced earlier, but they never really played with them like they should have. And if you're a
No,
Thor comic reader, like I was, I
yep,
haven't read in a
too.
long time because it's nonsense now,
It
but
has.
I read a lot of Thor comics in my life. Those three guys were in a lot of adventures with Thor, and
Yeah, they're gross.
they were his friends, and
Right.
they were so beautifully crafted by Stan Lee, by the way, right?
Yes.
Because the way they're laid out is you got Fandral, right? Now Fandral is the swashbuckling guy, and Stan based him on Errol Flynn. Not a bad
Right.
choice. Australian, by the way. Interesting.
The great
Um,
Australian himself. That's right.
yeah. Hogan was based on Charles Bronson. I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong.
Is that maybe the manliest man to ever man?
Ever man,
Maybe
yes.
ever.
And of course, Volstagg, he's based on the Falstaff from Shakespeare, but so it's a little less modern culture. But
Right.
nevertheless, those guys played such an important role in the Thor comic books, and that's why when they did the first Thor movies and stuff, we saw them. They're in the
Yes.
background or being spoken to in the movies. They just didn't
That's right.
really utilize them. And I just can't tell you how much it irritated me that Hela just walks in and just with a wave of her hand kills all three. It's so
It's silly.
disrespectful, dude.
Yeah, it's stupid. The fact that they had to make again another problem they have in order to make a female character look strong, they have to make all the male characters stupid and weak,
Right.
including I don't know Odin, which is retarded. Uh, the whole thing is just it's just dumb, and it's done intentionally. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose,
Yeah.
and it was just a moment for there to do girl boss shit. That's all
Yep.
it
It
was.
was girl
That's
boss.
why it
Yeah.
happened. Thor never beats her, by the way.
No.
Thor never beats her. The main character never once beats her. It takes a giant fire guy to
Well,
finally do something to her.
and he doesn't beat Valkyrie either,
No,
right?
no, that's what I'm saying.
He
Like
goes
it's
toe to toe with a Hulk, but yeah, you can't deal with
yeah,
you can't
that's right.
deal with these, right?
That's
Um,
right.
but
If you were gonna do Ragnarok, why you're gonna get me down the rabbit hole? If you're gonna do Ragnarok, why would you not introduce at some point the idea of the Odin Force? You don't have to call it that, but the idea of it. The thing that gives Odin all of his immense power
yeah,
is the Odin Force.
in the comics, yeah,
Thor should have inherited that. And they even kind of implied it when they do the little vision that he has where his dad asks him, "What kind of god are you?" Which is the only really good scene in that whole movie. What are you the god of? And he remembers, "Oh, yeah, I'm the god of thunder, not of punching things." And he blasts her with a giant lightning bolt. That's cool. That should have been him activating the Odin Force. And from then on, she shouldn't have had a chance. Not even a kind of a chance. It shouldn't have been
right.
close.
Well, Hela
But
shouldn't even
they
been in the
couldn't do that.
movie. Hela should have not have been in
No,
that
I
movie.
agree.
There's no reason
I agree.
whatsoever. The bad guy in that movie should have been Valkyrie because she
Yes,
was the
and
bad guy
Loki,
in the movie. Yeah,
and
well,
Loki.
Loki is Loki. Loki's Loki.
If
Loki's
you're
got a
gonna do
Loki, right?
Ragnarok, Loki needs to be the bad boy. They brought in the giant dog, Fenrir, and then he just gets in a fight with Thor, and that's the end of that. Like, there's just so many things that you could do either if you're going to take inspiration from the comic book version or you're going to take inspiration from the mythological versions of Ragnarok. So many things you could do with the Twilight of the Gods, and they just did none of it so they could do girl boss bullshit. That's it.
Yeah,
And
no, that's true.
this gentleman right here, is the reason why. Now Disney's to blame too, of course, but they put him in that position. They let him make that movie. And it's again, my whole point, my whole argument is the biggest problem Marvel has. One of the main reasons they lost steam, not only because of the woke bullshit, but also because they burned through so much good content in singular films or in a one little arc or blah 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 blah. Blah. The only thing that they really did right was Thanos, and even that they still, I don't think they should have killed him. Not completely. Like they erased him. He's gone. As far as I know, there's no more Thanos. Right? He snapped him out of existence. So
Yeah.
the theoretically with the glove, he did it through all timelines ever. Right? Like he's gone. He's out. Um, my point is this is the big problem they've had. An idea like Ragnaros, you could or sorry, Ragnarok, you could almost have made that an Avengers level movie, right? It's a big deal. Asgard getting got is a big deal. It shouldn't just be thrown away in one cheesy film. They're going to be bringing in Galactus in this new Fantastic Four movie. I swear to God, if they throw away Galactus, what are we doing? He is a universal level threat when he's ready to go, when he's up and nice and full in the belly. He's a problem, and you're just gonna we don't we just get rid of him because
Right.
why not?
Well,
Like
y-
this is one of the main problems is they keep disposing of not only the villains but also just entire story arcs for their heroes. Why did we never get the drunk Tony Stark arc, like the real
we
drunk Tony
kind of
Stark
got
arc?
it. We kind of got
Yeah,
it.
they just
Um,
half-assed it.
they half-ass. Though they do a lot. They threw. That's one thing Disney and Paramount, to be fair, they threw a lot away. A lot of storylines they could have had a lot more meat involved.
Yep,
And that's a shame. But the thing with Fenrir in the movie, having Odin fight him, is weird because in the Norse mythology, Odin is the one who defeats Fenrir, right?
right.
And of course, Vidar does help. Now, and we never saw Vidar. Now, Vidar would have
Nope,
been really, he is in the comic books. He is if any of you read it, he's the Norse god who never speaks, the silent god
right,
Vidar. And he does come in with a cudgel and gives Odin a moment of opportunity, and he defeats Fenrir. So, we already know who defeats Fenrir in
right.
Ragnarok. Why wasn't Odin there?
Because he needed to die for some reason. Again, why did Odin? Why again? Wasted. Why did Odin die? It didn't. It wasn't to power up Thor or Loki or anybody
Yeah,
else. Nobody else got stronger. So
no.
why did Odin have to die? What was
Well,
the point of
because
that?
they needed the villain to take over the Asgardian village on Earth. That's why.
Silliness.
Yeah.
Pure silliness.
Anyway, he is out. Now that doesn't mean good
Get
things are
out of here.
coming. It just means
Get
at
out of here,
least one
Taika.
asshole is gone. Anyway, let's kind of finish
Stop
out
being
today.
stop being ashamed of your own name, Taika.
Yeah,
Weirdo.
David Cohen, the most bland name ever. I guess I see why he changed it. But anyway, I we take a look at box office mojo as we do every weekend, see how things
Yeah.
are going. So let's see how this past weekend was overall. So Deadpool and Wolverine still pulling in the monies.
Back
Uh,
on top,
this is
where
only
they belong.
domestic. This is only domestic. This is not worldwide. But this is where they
Yep.
make most of their money, though. Just keep that in mind. So over a half a billion, this thing has made money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's a good. It's fun. It's a love letter to the movies that made us all love superhero movies. Those
It
early
is.
2000s Fox superhero movies, which yeah, they weren't always great, but they at least were they existed, and that was enough at the time. Because I remember being a kid, really wishing some of these great comic stories could be made into movies that didn't suck. And it took a while, took a while, but we eventually got there. And like the first X Men movie, I really liked the first X Men movie. I know some people don't, but I thought it was really good. Um, is a great example. Obviously, the Blade movies, the first two, the second one
Well, those
especially,
two were
is a
great.
great
They were
example.
great. Yeah.
Uh, these were the movies that were the test case. These were the ones that were the proof of concept.
Mhm.
So Deadpool and Wolverine is a celebration largely of that, and I
It is.
appreciate that.
Is exactly what it is. It's a thank you to all that's come before, and there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with those kind of movies. They're fine. Maple Sheik does say that Thor Ragnarok had the Ragnarok, Planet Hulk, and Hela all in one movie. Such a waste. Now I
waste,
agree 100%. We agree. Yeah. But
horrible
let's take a
waste.
look here. So Deadpool and Wolverine are still making cake. Alien Romulus only picked up 16 million, overall 72 million. This is losing money.
61% drop.
Yeah,
Ooh,
and but it's losing money. It's losing money
good.
because there's no way they're going to make their budget back with the looks of it. And it's because the first 30 minutes are spectacular, and then it goes downhill like a freaking rock off a cliff.
Yeah,
And that's why it's a 61% fall off. Whereas in what week are we now? We only had a 39% fall off in Deadpool and Wolverine. What is it? Been out a month?
yeah, a little over a month, I think.
And it's still
5
topping
weeks. Yeah.
the box office. That's crazy.
Well, one, they put it out at the right time. It doesn't really have any actual competition, and two, it's just a fun movie.
It is.
It's
It is.
there's
Yeah. But unfortunately, Alien Romulus is going to lose money. It ends with us is made 120 million domestically altogether. What is this?
I think it's like a rom-com or something.
When a woman's first love suddenly enters her life, her relationship with a charming but abusive neurosurgeon is upended, and she realizes she must learn to rely on her own strength to make an impossible choice for her future. So, I'm a woman, don't need no man. All right, cool.
Pretty much.
Girl
And it's
power.
also,
Go.
I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's making money. Women like it.
Yep.
So I mean, because an abusive neurosurgeon, well, leave that. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
instantly. But it sounds like she didn't. She ended up with anybody. Goes, I don't need no man. Cool.
That's right.
Blink Twice came out. Not great. This might be a low budget horror movie though. When a tech billionaire Slater King meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala, he invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island.
Slater King.
As strange things start to happen. What do you say?
Slater King. Who
It's a
the
dumb
fuck
name.
wrote it?
It is a dumb name. It looks
Oh
like
my
a
god.
mystery thriller here, I guess. Um,
Amazon MGM. There you go. That explains a lot.
well, it's not great money. The Forge, once again, yeah, this isn't making much money. Twisters is still making money, dude. Quarter million, billion dollars. Interesting.
Excellent. Excellent.
Domestically. But look all the way down here. The 15th anniversary re-release of Coraline made more money than your brand new AAA Lionsgate The Crow. Woof, dude. It
That's
hasn't
what we
even,
call a big old oof.
yeah, it hasn't even opened internationally yet.
It's only been out for 2 days.
Wow, dude. Wow. We still got these things making money down here in the top 10. These two kids movies are making money and good for them. So yeah, and I don't see anything else here worth talking about. Borderlands is an absolute disaster. It only made $500,000. Wow, dude. Wow. Harold and the Purple Grand, we talked about the sadness of that. Long Legs, actually pretty good money for a horror movie overall.
Yep.
Yeah, so wow. I mean, Alien Romulus made its initial money because it's a new Alien movie. But 70, let's take a look here and see what the real, so that's like 110 $1 million they've made. This movie, I guarantee you, is 300 to 400 million dollars all in, right?
Right.
With marketing, because I've seen it commercials everywhere. They've spent a lot of money on trying to sell this thing. This is not going to make its money back. This is going to be a big loss. They're going to lose. They might well lose 2 or 300 million dollars on this movie.
Yep. That's a shame.
Well, that's what they get
Because
for putting so much damn movie in these money in these movies, dude.
well, that and also why we don't need more alien movies. We don't. Nobody's asking us. Why does he keep make? Why do they keep making them? Like
Yeah,
literally nobody is calling
right.
for more Alien.
No,
It's the
no one's
story's
asking
done,
for it. You're right.
been
But it's
done.
also the thing with it is all the reviewers who I respect, meaning they have the same opinion I have, right? Um, those guys, all of them, and I've seen other people say it as well. They were like, if they let Fede Alvarez make the movie he wanted to make in the first 30 minutes of that, it would have been great. But it's so clear to everyone. The suits stepped in and said, "No, no, no, we got to have this member from this movie scene. We got to have it." Right?
Yep.
If they let him do what he was going to do, is completely different than the other Alien movies. It was more a bunch of kids who were in a bad, their life was bad. They're basically effectively slaves working for the corporation, right? They wanted to
Right.
escape to this paradise they'd heard about. So many movies have that trope, stories have that trope, and they were trying to figure it out a way to do it. These kids, and of course, they ran into the aliens, right?
Right.
But if they had let him just do the movie he wanted, that's going to be completely different. The aliens are there, and these kids are getting taken out, and they got to figure out how to survive in a bad situation. That could have been fun, and that's what all the reviewers are saying. If you let the man make the movie he wanted to make, which you can see in the first 30 minutes, it would have been different and great. But they couldn't keep their hands out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the problem. People who think they know how to do things better than the people who do.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, sometimes those people get into positions of authority to where
yeah.
they can meddle.
Well, quite often
And
it seems.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's again. Also, I'll go back to nobody needs another alien movie. Wants another alien movie. I think we did it. Told this story. Can we move on now? Any mystery that was created with like Prometheus and all these things, they kind of squandered or destroyed that.
well,
So
between Prometheus and Covenant, they squandered it.
yeah, so let's just move on. Let's just
Yeah,
move
no,
on.
it's
It's
enough,
kind of
but they
like
won't.
nobody is asking for another Terminator movie, but they're going to keep threatening us with one. So yeah,
Roger
nobody
wants
wants
more
this.
Alien movies. He's correcting you.
Roger's a crazy person. He's a crazy man, that
Sure,
Roger. So I
but
love him.
yeah, that's true.
Well, I wouldn't mind an actual alien movie, like in the original style. Uh, that could be good. But because they decided that Ripley needed to go from a survivor to a heroine, it kind of that was
Yeah,
kind of the first. Even though the second movie I still like, that was kind of the first like indication that they've lost the plot here.
a
They
little
forgot
bit.
what made this so
Oh,
good, why
right.
it
No, that
works.
that is true. Although she always kind of carried that just survival type thinking, because Sigourney Weaver is a good actress, even
Right.
though she's a woke idiot. However, we have Prometheus, we have Covenant, and now Romulus, and each one of them is trying to recreate a Ripley character. Each one, right? And they just can't get away from it, and it's killing them. It sounds like this Fede Alvarez guy had a good idea, and they should have just let him do his thing. If you're going to hire a person, let them do their thing, right? Otherwise,
Right.
hire someone else. Because Fetty did, I don't know what else he's done in the interim, but I did see his Evil Dead remake. And it's woke bullshit because, Ash has been replaced by a female because, of course, a girl does it better. But with that said, the movie was beautiful. It had great tension. It was well shot. The only reason I don't like it is because they gender swapped, Bruce Campbell's character, right?
Right.
Instead of doing just a different story that had a female in it. You could have done that. But no, 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 no. We have to replace Ash, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a shame. It's a shame. That's just another franchise that they rode too long. Now it's dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
no,
Dead.
it
Dead.
is. It is. And let me just check something real quick here. Um, so we have The Evil Dead, and I do
Yep.
believe that was in 2013. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 2013. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2013. Here it is. Fede Alvarez. And let me just check something right here to confirm. I thought so. The lead character's name in the movie is not Ash. They don't call her Ash. But her name means from the earth, right?
Right.
So even in the name, they were trying to, replace Ash. I thought they would be that dumb, but whatever. It sounds like you got a guy who's got vision, and the two big movies anyone knows his name for, he had interference from the executives, and it is what it is. Let me see here what's coming up. If there's anything, Superman, Christopher Reeve's story, a documentary. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sounds good. We've seen it before. Lost on a Mountain in Maine. Well, that just
Well,
sounds
that's
exciting as hell.
yeah. What a great premise.
Yeah.
Wait, are there mountains in Maine?
Yeah. Yeah,
There
there are.
are.
There are. Yeah.
Huh. Never been to
Uh,
Maine. One of
yeah.
the only ones I haven't been to, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Bagman from Lionsgate must be a horror movie. They do a lot of those. When a sinister threat from his child returns to haunt him, a father desperately struggles against his deepest inner fear. Only this time, the fight isn't for itself, it's for his family. Well, at least it has a man in it.
Uh,
That's something.
Curious.
But I mean, Lionsgate makes
PG-13
a lot of
horror
horror
movie.
movies. Yeah, those always suck. Untitled Universal event film. Well, we're already past it.
No, it's 2025. Looks like it got moved.
Oh, maybe it got moved. Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, now it's been removed entirely. Looks like they're
Just
not even doing it.
removed. Yeah, yeah. We're not doing it. This has been removed too.
Get it out of here, they said.
Huh. So nothing.
They don't want it.
There's a Lionsgate horror movie coming out, and those are always great. And it's interesting. A lot of these movies we're kind of complaining about recently are from Lionsgate. It seems they've been dumping a lot of the woke on Lionsgate lately. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
Yeah. Whatever.
Good.
I
That's
go.
that's kind of what I figured they were going to do. Is they were going to just kind of shuffle it off to the side. They're still going to make it. Still going to produce. Still put it
Right.
out. But they're going to put it off on the side on one of their smaller companies. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, my wife watched the other day another salary movie from Netflix called The Union with Marky Mark in there and Halle Berry and a whole bunch of other people. It's a salary movie, right?
Right.
The idea is fine. It was fine, but of course they were cucking out Wahlberg the entire movie with Halle Berry. But to be fair, he was a nobody who knew nothing, so it kind of made sense. But I don't know. It looks like they want to do a series of movies, and it's low enough budget. Why not? Have you seen that one yet?
I have not.
Yeah, it's just a little more fun. Jason Bourne, secret government agency thing, type of movie. I didn't spell that very well. Um, there's not. There's only one O. Interesting. It's not even here. Maybe it has a different name because I'm outside of America. That's not how you spell that. What are you doing? Here we go. Yeah, it's right here. This one. Why wasn't that on the maybe because it's streaming. They don't put streaming on Box Office Mojo, I guess. That makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But this right here, she's 58, still looks not bad. He's my age. They don't look bad, but they are older. But we've seen a lot of trend toward older actors, which I'm not against. But look at this frickin' salary movie here, right? Mark, Hallie, Mike Coulter. I do like this actor. J.K. Simmons in it plays the boss. Alice Lee, Jessica. I don't know her very well, but I've seen her face before. Adewale, dude, he's Jack. I don't know when the last time you saw Adewale was, but he's frickin' Jack now. He's the size
He's a
of a
big
damn
boy.
bus. Yeah.
Excellent,
We got
excellent.
Jackie Earl Haley, which I've always enjoyed. We got Patch Daring. Well, I haven't seen him in a while. Stephen Campbell Moore, of course. That's an old picture, Stephen. Someone should update that. Um, but as you can see, this is a salary movie, right? And I'm not against salary movies. I'm not. These guys got to get paydays. I don't have a problem with it. Um,
Get your money. California's expensive to live in. We get it, guys. We
Well,
get it.
you know, I'm not. Some people hate salary movies. I'm not. My wife and I aren't an automatic hater of it. This did have a little bit of wokeness in it, a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. And I think it's mainly because Hallie is she's a pretty solid actress. I think she's an absolute terror in real life. And this is a bitchy wine mom if there ever was one.
Oh yeah,
Mark though is a pretty copacetic dude, right?
yeah. Seems like a good boy.
He's always been very copacetic. J.K. Simmons, I don't know much about him because he keeps quiet, but I've enjoyed him for years. And of course, Adewale, I've always enjoyed his stuff. I think the first time I saw him was in that I think was it Tim Robbins? No, it wasn't Tim Robbins. Maybe it was Tim Robbins. That HBO series where they were in prison way back.
Uh, oh come on.
Yeah, I can't remember the
Uh,
name of it. I can find it.
Oz. It was
Oz, yeah,
Oz.
Oz. That's the first time I ever saw Adewale. He shows up in all kind of stuff. He's one of those kind of character actors that just shows up. I haven't seen him in a while, but in this movie, he's jacked up. He's big. I've never seen him this big. I'm kind of surprised that he can handle that kind of muscle weight on his frame, to be honest with you. But he is jacked. Mike Coulter shows up when you want the slick, suave black dude, right? I mean, he
Right.
shows up in so many things. He's a pretty solid actor too, and of course, spoilers, he's the bad guy in it. You know, of course he is.
What a
Well,
shocker. Yeah.
anytime you see Mike Coulter in a movie, dude, he's the bad guy.
Right.
It's what he does. Jackie Earl Haley, he plays the kind of tech guru for their secret black op government group called the Union. I didn't mind it, and the way they played it out at the end, the way they played it the entire time, it looks like they want to do a series of movies with it. And well, why not? You know,
Right.
and Mark is very lovable. He is an affable, lovable guy. Everyone likes Mark, right? Hallie is popular and attractive. Even though she's 58, she's still smoking. I mean, it is Halle Berry. And she's able to keep her character in line. And something they showed at the end of the movie was kind of interesting. When Mark was back with the Funky Boys there, or whatever his little group was, and she was a young actress, they clearly were friends because they had a bunch of pictures of them when they were teenagers or young adults. So these two have known each other for a very long time. The chemistry was okay between them, but clearly Mark's presence kept her down, which in a good way, right?
Right.
Because with Keanu, she was getting a bit uppity, but
Yeah.
it did work really well. It did work. But Mark's presence, so these two have known each other since they were very, very young. So 30 plus years. I don't know the situation with Mark and Haley. Let me check it out. Because those photos they showed looked like they were a thing. Such a good German name. How do you spell her? Is it just Barry? Maybe it's just Barry. Just straight, not Beret or no, I guess maybe it's just well, he's talking about the union doing some promotion. Yeah, every guy's fantasy. Is it? I
Yeah. I wouldn't
uh,
kick her out of bed.
I've never really found her to be so smoking. Um, I mean, she's pretty. She is pretty. I'm not going to take that away from her, but I never found her particularly attractive. But I guess some dudes do. But then again, that girl Scarlett Johansson, everyone's like, "Oh, she's the hottest girl on planet Earth." I was like, "Did we watch the same movie?" I mean, she's kind of the every girl next door type. She's not super smoking, dude.
In
Uh,
her first appearance as Black Widow, she was crazy hot. But as it
eh,
went on,
That's the best I've ever seen ever. I'll give her that. Yeah, I don't see any comment on it, but the photographs in the film made it seem like it was like they took actual stock photographs from when they were young.
Right.
So that maybe
Yeah,
they AI it.
I think they've just known each other forever. So
Maybe,
that might be why.
yeah. Because that comment means that no, they were never a thing. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so there you go. But anyway, it was all right. I didn't mind watching it. It isn't great, but it's better than a lot of the fare we have these days, and they're definitely going to do more with it. And as time goes by, it might sweeten and improve, or it could just go to south. But clearly, they want to do more movies. And like I said, it's a salary movie, and you know, a lot of the actors in there we do like. We enjoy them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people trying to hit on the iron of the success of Mission Impossible, Jason Bourne, even to a point James Bond. They're always trying to hit on that anvil, right, to try to catch that fire. This one might be able to do it, maybe, because it's a little more tongue in cheek. It's a little more fun. It's not, who would have been great to direct this would be Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, make
Could have
this
been
a Guy
interesting.
Pearce venture. It would be awesome because that dude knows how to entertain. Do you disagree?
No, I think it'd be fine. Sorry, I was being distracted. I think it'd be fine. The problem is I just don't know. What I want from Mark Wahlberg, I haven't had in a very, very long time, and it's probably because Hollywood won't let people make those type of movies anymore. But he used to make some really good comedy back in the day, like good ones, proper,
Yeah,
because he's has great comedic timing as an actor, and we don't get that anymore, really. Like it's been a long time since we've had a genuinely great comedy in Hollywood. A long time. Deadpool and Wolverine's obviously very funny, but it's not really a comedy. It just has parts. Right?
it's nostalgia, is what it is.
Yeah, it's been a
Roger
very long time we've had
Roger
a good
says you
comedy.
and I sound a little upset today. I don't know. I'm not actually upset. Nothing's particularly irking me. It's just dumb stuff to laugh at.
Yeah.
It's very rare that something happened. We talk about something that actually angers me. I am frustrated with the general melee that is over the world today, without question. And that was not a pun, although it could have been. Um, I'm not. But most of the stuff we talk about here with the entertainment, I mean, it's just it's their money they're burning. It ain't mine. It's not taxpayer money for the most part
Well, that we know of.
that we know of.
Uh, could be. It
So
would make a lot of sense why they're so gung ho about
Mm,
wasting it.
well,
Holy
in a
shit.
in a roundabout way, BlackRock funds a lot of this stuff, and keep in mind, BlackRock is sitting on around 44, 47 trillion dollars at their behest. But
Yeah.
that is New York State's investment in their future. So in a way, it's kind of taxpayer money,
Right.
in a very roundabout way. But you know what I mean. They can burn their money all day long, as far as I'm concerned. And it's unfortunate that they burned down so many of our favorite IPs, sure, but we still have the originals. And before we die, I'm sure someone will come back and triumphantly raise up those or something new. Honestly, I've been waiting for something new for a while. You know,
Yeah. I think it's coming.
I
I
hope
think
so.
we're right at that edge. There's something that happens in America and culture, and one of those things is when pro wrestling is good, culture shifts. If you go look back and look, every time that pro wrestling has been cooking, as we say,
Yeah.
been making been breaking records, whatever, been in the zeitgeist. The culture is getting ready to, or already has shifted, typically to the better. Meaning, we're going to
Yeah.
get really cool shit for a while.
Well, because they're playing
Uh,
on the zeitgeist. That's what they do. It's all about the
right.
zeitgeist. Yeah.
In the last 2 years or so, they've been cooking. WWE especially has been cooking, but AEW, that little weird indie when I guess it's not an indie anymore. That weird little company just had about 60,000 people in Wembley, big Wembley Stadium show just earlier today. So wrestling's doing all right as a industry. It's doing all right, and that's a good sign because for whatever reason, if you go back and look, there's never been a great wrestling boom without a big cultural shift or a big cultural phenomenon or energy or whatever you want to call it, like a zeitgeist.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think we're getting ready to see some new creativity start really taking things over. The problem is a lot of the people who would have been the Hollywood directors doing that are now like YouTubers or streamers or
Right,
whatever,
right, right.
and they're
Things have
doing
shifted.
they're
Yeah.
yeah they're letting their creativity they're expressing that creativity in different
Well,
mediums than they are films.
Well, we talked about this a little bit before, right? In the 70s, Hollywood collapsed, right? And
Yes.
a lot of people seem to forget that. They collapsed. They had a big old union strike like they did recently, but in the 70s they had a lot of success out of that. But they they just people were sick and tired of these big boring movies with these huge budgets, and Hollywood collapsed. And what happened was a whole bunch of indies came in and created the 80s, which is everyone fondly still looking back upon. But the problem with the all those indie guys that came up, like Spielberg, Lucas, even Rami, or other people like that, um, those guys are now the corporate, ensconced corporate rule of
Yep.
Hollywood, right?
Yep.
So they went from being the outsiders to the insiders, just like all the hippies became yuppies, right?
Right.
And they became exactly what they hated, right?
Yep.
And That's what happened. So I think it's time for another indie revolution, and we're seeing that in many ways with YouTube and comic books and stuff like that. That will
Yep.
eventually supersede them, and we'll have an age of the indie freedom and fight the man type of stuff. And then eventually they'll become the ensconced authority. That's the way it seems to go. We got a DeWolf in here, by the way. Hey, DeWolf.
We do. Hello, DeWolf. Did you know, Chester? I don't know if you saw. I shared it. Our good friend, well, your good buddy,
Yep.
Mr. John Dillard, apparently is doing a comic book for Mr. Eric July's company,
Oh, nice.
and he's working with Yellow Flash. They're going to be putting out comic together. I think they pretty much have it ready to go. That's pretty cool. I'm
That is
happy for
cool.
John. I know a few years ago John was having, some issues, personal issues with things, so it's good to see him,
Well,
do all right. I
I
like
s-
that.
I've spoken to Yellow Flash a couple of times, and he seemed like one of us, normal dude.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him beyond that. Of course, John is a friend of mine, right?
Yes.
And I appreciate John a lot. And Not only his artistic wisdom, but just his sense of humor. He and I are very similar people in that regard.
Yep.
But I have said since day one we've been doing this, John Dillard is the best damn artist we have in our community, plain and simple. I mean, I
Yeah.
know everyone likes Matt and Tom, and there's a whole bunch of guys who are amazing, and I want nothing but success for them because they are awesome, right? Rabbit, I mean, if he could stop being a music bum, he could be a very successful artist. He's stunning, right? All of them. But frickin' John Dillard, not only his artistic knowledge, not only historical knowledge, but just knowledge of how the medium works, but his outward skill. The dude is insane, insane level artist. And it's always bewildered me how in the hell him and others are not working full stop all the time, because that's exactly what you need, right? And
Yep.
we've met some of the other guys who've had success, like Dan Fraga, and some Art Bear, and we've met. He's a legend. It's a little bit different, isn't it? But my point being is he's that level. So for John to start to finally getting some recognition of what he is and start to make actual money, I am on board all day.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
yeah.
I hope it does very, very well for him,
So do
and
I.
he can. He's incredibly talented, and there's others, that have been around that are around these circles too that are very talented. I hope they all do. I hope all of their talents are rewarded because that's one of the things that we tried to do, especially in the early with this show. We tried to bring on as many people as we could to do that, uh,
Yep.
and I just think that is a good thing. So our boy John getting, crossing into what is become in the independent comic space one of the mainstream
Yeah, Eric is
companies.
banging. Eric's banging.
He's killing it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good news. We don't need the big two anymore. They're old news. It's time for people to become great.
Well,
As
to
as as
to do
Eric would
what's
say, be great.
well, they need to do what Jack and Stan and uh, the other guy there. I can't the weird guy did the Spider-Man art and Doctor Strange art. They need
Yep.
to do like them. They were indies at one time too, right?
Right.
They broke
Yep.
away from the mainstream. They do their own thing, and look what they created. So
Have
yeah,
the audacity to believe in yourself.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. It's
So
okay.
and I know some people hack on Eric July. I don't really understand why. The guy has a vision. He wants to do a thing. He's getting it done. To be honest with you, you know who we should be talking about right now is Ethan Van Sciver.
Uh
Talk about squandering opportunities, dude.
oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus, it was laid at his feet, and he had to be an angsty little bitch, right?
Correct.
I mean, because
He should have been he easily could have been the second coming, if you
oh yeah,
will, if you want
dude,
to be very dramatic, of a Stanley. He could have
or
did it.
Jack Kirby because he's an artist. But I mean,
Kirby, any
um,
of them,
yeah, no,
any of them.
because Ethan is an amazing. He's a generational artist. You can't take it away. But he had to
Yep.
be an angsty little bitch, and just squander the shit out of it. I'm sure he put some money in his pocket, but talk about
Oh yeah.
short sightedness.
Yep.
Dude, you could be
Yep.
sitting on serious money right now and an actual competitive thing. 6 years, 7 years, dude, you could be sitting on an actual comic book company right now. I
Yep.
cannot believe it. I saw the whole thing unfold and I was like, Jesus,
And
children,
instead,
fucking children.
a comic nobody is the one
Yeah,
who did it,
yeah,
who
and
built this big
good for
thing
Eric July. I don't know
and is
nothing about
killing
the
it.
dude, but good for him,
Well,
right?
Eric used to be around our circles a lot. Actually, he was in our when we
Yeah, no,
had.
I
I think we still
recognize the
have the.
name. Yeah,
I think we still have the Facebook group and stuff. Obviously, I don't. I'm not in it because I don't have
I don't.
Facebook
My
anymore.
Facebook was stolen, so I ain't got it.
Yeah. So, but when that was very active, he was in there, and I used to talk to him every now and again, like in comments or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember the
he's
name. It was
Eric's
unique.
Eric. He hasn't changed really at all. He's a little bit more mellow. He's not as aggressive when it comes to that kind of stuff anymore. But he's still just Eric, and he's done nothing but work really, really hard, and that's
Right.
why
Well, he's
he's
built up quite the
successful.
YouTube channel, so good for him. Now we have seen some people come out of the so-called comics gate that have built up channels for themselves. Good for them. Yellow Flash has been going pretty steady. He has his own channel that's doing well. Some of the other guys I thought that would do really, really well haven't. But you have the Nerdrotic guys. They're all coming out of what we were doing. Those guys were all over here initially, right? And they've gone on and done their own thing, and they've become quite big now. Some of the interviews and stuff we've seen some of these guys go on and create pretty successful YouTube channels. Eric being one of them. So I don't know him. I probably have chatted with him once or twice during this 7 years 6 years we've been doing this. I'm sure I have, but I don't know him at all. But I wish him nothing but success, and I'm really, really, really happy for John. I hope it hits big, and I hope it gets work just on and on and on. Because not just
He,
because he's a friend of mine and I want to see him successful, but because he's an amazing artist. John Dillard
he
is
is.
stunning,
He
stunning.
is. And with the right, I think, in the right culture and stuff, he could take that to another level, right? Because as
Mhm.
far as I know, he's basically he's an autodidact, done this all by
I think
himself,
so. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So with the right people who have experience and stuff, and Eric's got all that connections with legends in the industry. Uh, you could see something really great come out of Mr. Dillard.
no, you
He's
could.
got the
And
skill, he's got the talent. He just needs the support, if you
yeah,
will.
and
And I think it's right there.
And although a lot of people kind of, he has that assholish type of sense of humor, like I do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But in reality, because I worked on a couple little projects with him that came to naught. But he takes direction really well. He doesn't get
right.
offended and angry and he's like, I don't like the way that leg's sitting. he'll go fix it. So, and that's
Right.
a great quality to have, right?
Coachability.
Yeah. Well, it's
Coach.
just, sometimes you can't see beyond your own nose, right?
Right.
And but he takes that credit and he doesn't get upset about it, right? And of course, we have another person over here who's been commenting continuously, who is working, but needs more work. To be fair, is Alan here from the Hollow Comics. Um,
Yep.
some picked being a YouTuber over comics, and it shows. That's fair, or doesn't.
Yes.
Cough, years old, late books, cough. Yeah, well, that's true. Now, Alan here, for those of you who don't know the Howl Comics, he is another great artist, and Alan has a very, call it kind of cartoonish to a point. But
Yep.
he has a very refined. When you see it, you know it's Alan Alonso, right? He has a very polished style, and his style, he, working. He is working. He has stuff going on, but he should be doing a lot more too. Alan. I
Yeah.
mean, that he has a
Yep.
look that is just it takes you away when you see it. So we're lucky over here. We've met a lot of great artistic comic book people over the years, and we
Right.
still have, particularly on the Joe and a Quarter show I do on Thursdays. We do have some guys in there who should absolutely be working. We also have some amateurs, and some of them have improved amazingly over the years. But there are some dudes over there, including John Dillard and Alan here, Rabbit for sure. The girls are doing their own things anyway, but there are people over there that deserve to be doing something at a greater clip. Alan is working, but I think he deserves more. But nevertheless, good for John, and hope it continues. Working night and right now on it, baby. He says, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
if
That's
for
good.
it's true, but he's doing the Ace with Acevedo. He's also has his own thing, Atrocity. Go check out the Hull comics. When you see his artistic style, you understand what I mean. It's very distinct, but it's great though, and it works in a comic book form. We've had plenty of people come in here over the years that are amazing artists, but they're more pinup artists. There's a big
Right.
difference between being a good artist and be a sequential artist. It is different. It is different. And John can definitely do it. Alan can definitely do it. And these guys need more work.
And I
Uh,
would say that is the skill of it. The talent part is just being an artist. The skill of it, of having the ability to draw. You can obviously hone that, of course.
yeah,
The skill is being able to apply it to sequentials and other things
yeah. Tell a story
outside of
through
just
panels. Yeah, it's
yeah,
important.
outside of just throwing down something on a page. A lot of people can do that,
Right,
but
right,
not everybody can tell you a progressive story that makes sense and is
right.
coherent with just visuals.
Fish visual, and that's the thing. When you go look at the great comic book artists throughout history, you don't need any dialogue. You know what's going on. That's the
Right.
the rub. Right? You need people who can tell a story visually, and then the dialogue is just adding to it. And then when you have those great teams of sequential artists and comic book writers that understand each other's strengths, is when you get those great comic books. Because a good writer won't step on what the sequential art is doing, right?
Right.
They'll enhance it, right? So, um, we're getting super nerdy here, but nevertheless. You know what I mean, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Oh yeah.
well, that's what I got for today, dude.
That's it. We're in. We're in. We're out. We're on with our lives. That's how it is, boys
Yeah.
and girls. Uh, no, it's an interesting show. We did talk about the deep state some. Again, anyone listening, whenever you get that snarky little comment from these nincompoops about what do you mean by they? What is the government's not one thing? That's what we're talking. We're
Yeah.
talking about the bureaucracy. We're talking about the agencies and
The
the offices.
convolutedness of it, the fact that it doesn't
Yes,
communicate, the fact that it's at odds with each other, and there are hundreds of them. These
that is
groups, it's
them.
ridiculous. Yeah.
That is them right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and they are a problem.
Yeah, they are. And a lot of people go with the deeper conspiracy theories, which I don't even know if they're theories. That you do have a cabal above that is trying to get things done. I think they both exist at the same time.
Yes,
They do,
correct.
and I don't know that that cabal is so smoothly operated either, right? Because I'm
There's
sure
still
they have
people.
things at odds going on. But you do have a cabal. The Bilderberg Group is their front facing, the face of it. The Bilderberg Group.
Now, yeah, 'cause
Well,
they
right
have to
now,
be.
but they're basically just a consortium of bankers and big businessmen in Europe mainly that want to rule the world. It's not
Yes.
really that much of a conspiracy theory. It's not, ancient alien stuff, which is fun, but it's not that. These are just
You
rich
need,
people that want more money and more power, dude. It's not
yeah.
that it's not that strange.
Yep, they want their serfs back, and you don't even need a great deep theory or conspiracy or any of that to understand that rich, powerful people are going to work together instead of against each other whenever they can to ensure they stay rich, powerful
Sure.
people.
Well, you
That's
saw
it.
the American bankers come together 100 years ago, right? More than 100 years
Yes,
ago, and did similar thing. And you know
because
that they don't
Roosevelt
sometimes. Well, some of the
crushed them.
Roosevelts and all of those guys, yeah. But sometimes they work together, and sometimes they work at odds to each other. And I think that's exactly what you have going on now. And then you take and look at the convoluted nature of all these governments around the world. It's not just America that looks like that. And you have these hundreds of agencies that are competing against each other in a very negative way toward the taxpayer, right? And
Right.
they all want their own voice to be heard. And then you have these big money influences trying to get what they want done on top of it, and they try to abscond away with these agencies. And in some cases, they're successful, and in other cases, they're not. But even where they are successful, they don't necessarily work together. So that's why you have this hot mess that's going on, because it's a hot mess. That's why, right? So
Yep.
it's all true at the same time, is my point. Anyway.
Yep. And that's why it's so hard to untangle because people
Exactly.
want very simple answers to their questions, as if every question is a yes or no situation,
It's
and
all
they're
just
not.
convoluted. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
isn't necessarily convoluted by design either. It's just the
No.
nature of man, I think.
Nature of the beast.
Yeah. It's just the nature of it. I mean, when it comes right down to it, you're going to protect your family and yourself before anyone else, and you're not wrong.
Correct.
Yeah. But you take that and you apply that to millions and billions of people, you see why we have what we got going on, right? We don't
Yep.
have unity because John F. Kennedy was a bit of an asshole in many ways, right?
Yes.
They still argue about, and of course, Trump just promised to unlock all the government stuff to find out finally who killed him, to Bobby Kennedy, which, okay, fine. But honestly, get in line, because there was a lot of people he pissed off. But in all of his shenanigans and nonsense, that blew up in his face and his brother's face and his family's face. He did make one comment once that I think is one of the most endearing comments ever made, and I'm sure it wasn't even his comment. Ask not what your country has done for you, but what you can do for your country. That type of thinking we need, because it's not nature of a person to think that way, right? I just said that, right? But if you can unify in nationalistic patriotism, which I know both those words are hated by a lot of people in the world today, but if you can, and you can think about something before you can actually start to build amazing things. So that sentiment I would love to see come back, although it's eroded so much. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's it's why I'm not I refuse to black pill. I refuse to give up on the American nation because JFK, that's who he was talking to the American
He was. He was saying,
as a
"Stop
nation.
whinging and whining and get shit done," is what he was
Yep.
saying.
And while yes, I have very serious problems with a lot of what John F. Kennedy was doing.
Oh, he's an
The fact
asshole.
of the matter, the fact of the matter is that sentiment is typically correct. Not always, but typically correct. And
Yeah.
that's where we are now. And his nephew has clearly taken that to heart. Trump seems to have taken it to heart to some degree. I
Yeah.
would say a lot of people have, and this is kind of the problem. Not that they've taken it to heart; it's that in their doing of it, they are facing a machine that is designed to trick stupid people into thinking that anybody that opposes the machine is evil,
Right. Which
and
is
it does this
really
very well.
strange because the young people always used to be against the man, right? But
Yep.
now they're begging for the man. And
They've
like with the JFK statement, there's been many other similar statements. I have a dream. It's the same
yep.
damn statement, right? That people have made over time, and they've had impact with it. Unfortunately, Trump hasn't been able to really hit home at a large scale like they did. He has his supporters, and "Make America Great Again" is very similar sentiment, right? But he hasn't been able to get past the media corruption, unfortunately, because you hear a lot of people who hate Trump for reasons that have nothing to do with Trump, right?
Correct. Like I'm literally looking at somebody over here on my other screen here about this Project 2025 boogeyman that the left concocted that
Yeah.
Trump has nothing to do with. Has absolutely not, has said repeatedly he had nothing to do with it. He doesn't support it, and he is against it to the
What is
point
it?
where even though it, you don't want to know. It's stupid. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. It's a paper that the Heritage Foundation put out that this is what they wanted. This is basically what they want to do or whatever. Trump has nothing to do with it. He
Are
didn't
they
write it.
are they trying to get rid of the black man's again?
Something. Who knows? I don't even know what it. I don't even know what all it says because it's irrelevant. But the media insists, and has insisted for months, including the candidate that they're running, because let's be honest, that's who's running them. That this is Trump's plan. This is what Trump wants to do. These are all lies. These are bold-faced lies. There
Uh,
is no evidence to suggest that Trump agrees with it. He's
no.
denounced it multiple times, says he doesn't want it. And even Bill Maher had to come out and say anybody who thinks that this is what Trump wants is foolish because Trump doesn't hate gay people. One of his
No.
best advisors, one of his
Trump has
closest
said,
advisors who he loves, is a gay man, Peter Thiel.
yeah.
So what are we
And
talking
besides,
about?
Trump has said very clearly with abortion and gay marriage, it's a done deal. It's decided. He said this
The
very clearly, dude.
Trump was the first, number one, presidential candidate to run the entire time as being pro gay marriage. He didn't flip on it, he didn't change. He was always pro gay marriage
Yeah.
from
I
2015 all
mean,
the way up until his inauguration.
right, and honestly, who cares? To be fair, the way our Constitution is written, I don't understand why we haven't always had gay marriage. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's very clear in the Constitution, right? And there's no reason why. And the only reason why we didn't have gay marriage before was because of the Christians, and and the Muslims and all the religious people, but we're supposed to have a separation of church and state. There's no reason why that should have been a thing. And that's probably because Trump, as like I said, he's shown himself to be quite a constitutionalist, and it just doesn't make any sense. Who cares? Do you actually care if gay men marry? Do you care?
Um, Me personally,
Yeah, you personally.
legally no. Personally, yes. I don't think the term marriage should apply to anybody who
Well,
isn't
okay, we
capable of
could have another
procreation.
name for it, I suppose.
But
But
legally,
who
no,
cares?
because the state should have no say in this. Like you said, that's not
Yeah,
their
it
business. It's
does
not their
not their
place.
business.
They have no.
And
If I had my way, there'd be no marriage laws outside of you can't marry 9-year-olds. I know I'm crazy and radical over here. How about we don't let people marry children? Just a thought.
right.
Uh, Other than that, no, I don't really care. If people want to marry broomsticks, right, on paper or whatever, fine. That's their business. I just personally don't think that the institution of marriage needs to be a legal one. It should just be a completely personal one. There should be no benefits legally or detriments legally to it or not. It's not the government's business at all, and it never should have
Yeah,
been.
and
And
it
that's how
shouldn't
the
be.
framers put it. By the
Yeah,
way, that's how they set it up. It was none of their business. So
it
the
is none
fact
of their
that it
business.
became their business is because, and this is the truth, the only reason it ever became their business was to stop black people and white people from getting married in the South. That's where it started. That's why it happened.
Yeah,
We don't want to talk.
Democrats.
Nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, right, right. Nobody wants to talk about that though, because the
Yeah,
government doesn't want to give up authority ever
yeah.
under anything, under any
Well, we're
circumstances.
still under the Patriot Act, aren't we?
Yes,
Yeah. Isn't that odd?
that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I got to go to work, dude. I'm literally going to be late.
Get to work, Chester. I'll do the real quick one. Are you ready?
I am.
The only safe place in all the world is humility.
Oh, wow. As long as you don't do it in a cafeteria. Later.